All right, guys. Thursday night. I remember in yeshiva every Thursday night, at least in Israel, we have this thing called mishmar. So mishmar is like they sort of want to keep kids off the streets of Jerusalem Thursday nights, because Thursday night in Israel it's like Friday night in America, right? So Friday night's the crazy night, the club night. So consider this your TikTok mishmar. All right, hold on. I'm testing my YouTube connection. Making sure. Okay, so I am live. It's good. Somewhat. I guess it could be louder. Let me test this. Testing 1, 2, 3. There's somewhat of a delay. All right, I guess it's gonna have to work. All right, guys. Yeah, here we are. Oh, someone was trying to get in, and I didn't respond fast enough. All right, guys, if you want to get in, hop in. Let's do this. Judaism is the better option. That's it. That's what we talk about here. Over and over again. It's just what we do. If for some reason you disagree, you speak first. Okay, let me read some of these comments. Every religion believes they are the chosen ones, for sure, right? This is why we dialogue. I mean, it's kind of difficult to be all religions at once. If you're going to pick one, I think you want to make a well-informed decision before you choose that. So, I mean, consider this sort of, I guess, a platform. TikTok is helping you pick your final religion. Let's do it. Okay. Doesn't it take like 10 years to become Jewish? No, it takes about a year in most places. I hear in England it's a little harder. Fine. But yeah, it takes about a year. Minimum. Let's see. Major Khalil Hashem. Oh my God. Avner. Let's see how many followers you have. Okay. So you only have 55 followers. If you had 1,000, I'd let you on. Well, I'd let you on. TikTok won't let you on. You know how silly it is to have a Jewish person say that I'm desecrating God's name? I mean, that's what a Chilul Hashem means. By in some way saying that Judaism is better. I mean, gosh. Okay, stop ignoring my comments. We do not encourage conversion. What does this mean, we do not encourage conversion? Just because we don't, as the people currently do it now, doesn't mean that it's against halakha. Doesn't mean that Judaism didn't do it in the past before going into Galut. Guy. There's a lot of things that we don't do nowadays because we're in Galut, because we're in the exile. Okay, I mean, that doesn't mean that it's a bad idea. But you guys are welcome to hop in. Let's see. Someone says, I'm not a rabbi. Okay, whatever. I mean, I have smicha. I mean, if that... I don't care about the title right away, like, at all, really. I have the credentials, not that I need them to teach or even to perform a conversion, let's say. But the purpose of the show is not to show off my title. The purpose of the show is a dialogue. If you happen to disagree, hop on. People who watch my TikToks know that I'm extremely respectful. And my goal is to educate my audience. On educating you, that's secondary. But sure, okay. Are you in counseling? No, I'm not. This is my counseling. Alright, so. Someone just commented why I'm wearing a backward hat, like that matters. Guys, I mean, you're picking on the most trivial arguments here. Let's focus on something meaningful. You know what? Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Second. Well, you know what? I gotta go live again. Not live again. I'm sorry. I'm in my see. Micha from where? I mean, I learned in Israel, but I mean, if you want names, Rabbi Kolakowski, Rabbi Shadel, does it really matter? Okay, let's see. Hold on. Don't want an echo. There. Okay. Cool. So now my YouTube audience could see all the comments, all the encouraging comments. Man, I'm telling you, I'm built for this. The more my haters push, the more I push back. So it's nice to be hated when you're doing the right thing. But anyways, look, I don't hate back. I like to dialogue. I really want to be proven wrong, ultimately because I want to be on the right path. So let's do it. Judaism's better. That's what's up. Okay, where's the Israel-Palestine debate? We don't do that here. That's for every other Jewish channel. Isn't that a great thing? You have someone here not interested in discussing Israel-Palestine. Finally, someone who cares to discuss Judaism. All right, let's do it. So yeah, that's a challenge. Judaism is better. Okay, is there a concept of hell in Judaism? Yes, there is. Is it in the Torah? No, it is not. What's the difference? Well, Judaism is essentially what Jews practice. What's accepted as the norm religiously. In terms of our source material, it's just not there. So depends how deep you want to go in your scholastics. Okay. What if I'm of Jewish descent on my mother's side? That means that makes you legally Jewish. That doesn't make you religiously Jewish, just legally Jewish. Okay, it's not in the Torah. It's true. Heaven and hell do not appear in the Torah. So do what you want with that. Okay. Let me test my audio here, make sure it's still working. Mute my TV. Oh, is it mute? Huh. Yeah, okay. For some reason it sounds very low. How can I improve that? How can I improve that? All right, I'm going to figure this out. Maybe not today. I mean, it was louder. All right, fine, I'll leave the TV on. All right, guys, I'll just talk louder. How about that? Fake rabbi. Oh my gosh, what's up with these insults? These ad hominem attacks. Guys, just hop on in dialogue. I think the way you find out who's fake and who's not is by having a conversation with the person. It's a shame, especially rabbis, when I see rabbis who's so cringy. I mean, rabbi is, apart from just a title, it is a descriptive term. So if you claim to teach publicly, you should be able to correct publicly also. So come up here and correct me. What am I doing wrong? But I'll get you first. Where are your horns and your beard? Okay, what does that even mean? I guess you're not Jewish. Why do you still sacrifice animals? Jews no longer sacrifice animals. Although when the temple's rebuilt, that procedure will resume. Let's see. People who criticize the Talmud don't know what the Talmud is. That's not true. That's not true. I mean, there's not every rabbi stands behind every statement in the Talmud. This notion that we don't hold by this medrash or that medrash. There's some statements that we just don't, we don't try to validate, right? This idea that we believe the whole Talmud is in some way from God is not true. Only the legal portions of the Talmud are binding according to Jewish law. Okay, it takes 2 to 3 years to become Jewish. In some places, it takes about a year. I would say most places in America, it takes about a year. these animals from okay. Look here. Okay. Why, in your opinion, is Judaism better than Christianity? That's a loaded question. Let's just wait till a Christian hops on, so we'll make it more interesting. This guy definitely graduated from a golf course and calls himself a rabbi. I don't know what that even means. Now, truth is, I mean, I have been on YouTube since 2006, but I've only been on TikTok for about 8 months. And I've been doing these lives probably for maybe 4 or 5. And well, the truth is, I haven't really met any rabbi on here, but I have met knowledgeable Jews, knowledgeable religious Jews. And I think virtually all of them acknowledge that I'm not doing anything against Jewish law. I'm not teaching anything against Judaism. Now, it's true. Most Jews do not do what I do. I get that. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong. I think it's actually a great idea to encourage people who are not Jewish to consider becoming Jewish. Just like I think it's a great idea to encourage people who have a Jewish pedigree to remain in the belief system apart from just being ethnically Jewish. Okay, can one convert if they have faith in the Torah? So my friend Layla says, can one convert if they have faith in the Torah but not the Talmud? So, the Talmud is made up of 2 books. It's made up of the Mishnah and the Gemara. The Gemara itself is really not that important. I mean, the Mishnah itself is what we call Torah Sheba'al Peh, the oral law. So the Gemara is just a commentary to the Mishnah. But as a Jew, especially a Jewish woman, you never have to study the Talmud because you typically go by codification of Jewish law, whether it's Mishnah Torah, Shulchan Aruch, Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Mishabura. So you don't necessarily have to go by the actual Talmud itself. You could just go straight to a codification and never have to look into the Talmud. What codifications do, they basically extract the law, what's called halakha lema'aseh, from the Talmud. So you'll save time going through all the midrashim and all the agadot that in some way confuse you in search of the law, the final din. So I guess the answer is yes, you could bypass the Talmud if you go straight through some code of Jewish law. Okay, what's the best resource to learn about Judaism? Well, the book that I recommend the most, for some reason Jews like recommending To Be a Jew, I think by Rabbi Chaim Donin. I'm a fan of Dennis Prager. I like his book, The 9 Questions People Ask About Judaism. He wrote that book with Rabbi Joseph Telushkin, who's a notable author. I'm not sure how observant he is from an Orthodox perspective, but fine. I mean, the information is kosher. The 9 Questions People Ask About Judaism. You could get it on Amazon for like $2 used. Okay, are you Sephardi? I converted actually 20-something years ago, and I converted Ashkenazi. And I mean, with the yeshivas I went to are Ashkenazi. I daven in an Ashkenazi synagogue, so I identify as Ashkenazi. Why does Judaism reject Jesus? Let's wait till we get a Christian in here, so we can get a nice dialogue about that. Because if I say it all now and someone just gets on here, I'm going to have to repeat it. It's going to be a bit monotonous. Let's see. Okay. LOL, North Korean would be 100% atheist if you weren't okay. Do you hate Palestinians? No, I don't hate Palestinians. I hate all unethical people. Okay. Thoughts on Isaiah 52? I'll cover that in a bit. Does your Jewish conversion process is recognized by the State of Israel? No, it's not. I don't encourage people to convert by me. I would say the State of Israel currently only accepts around conversions from like 20, 25 rabbis. There's a whole list online, meaning that if the average rabbi in America performed conversions, it wouldn't be accepted by the State of Israel. You have to find a rabbi on that list, and that's what I encourage people to do. Go to your local synagogue, get the best conversion out there. We perform conversions typically in places where conversions wouldn't be accepted anyways, no matter who converted you. For example, we go to India, we go to South America, and there's currently a ban on conversions by the State of Israel in India and in South America and in Africa. So if you convert there, even like if Rabbi Vada Yosef converted you there, the State of Israel wouldn't recognize it. So we try to perform service. We fundraise for these people. We take them like Sifrei Torah to fill in. We help them build a mikvah last year, and just so they can live a Jewish existence, but not. We don't do conversion for people to move to the state of Israel, so it doesn't matter. Okay, do you support Israel? I support Israel from a secular perspective, not from a religious one. That means I'm not a religious Zionist. Okay, let's see. What English translation do you recommend of Tanakh? The JPS. I don't recommend the Art Scroll or the Gutnick. I mentioned this last night that I think the Christian translations are even a little more accurate than the Jewish ones. Translations into English. I'm not a big fan of people who, in some way, forego what's called the Pashat just to make it align with Rashi, which is pretty much what the Gutnick does and what the Art Scroll does. While Christian translations also, in some way, modify the text, there's definitely more modifications in rabbinic translations. So I think the JPS, the old JPS, is probably the safest. That's from the Jewish Publication Society. Okay, yeah, Free Palestine, sure, okay. Okay, do you say the name of God? I don't, but there's, according to Halakha, you're not supposed to say it, although there's statements in Halakha itself that says that people used to greet themselves with the name. I think the Rambam brings down that you were allowed to say it like only in Jerusalem, not just the temple, but like Jerusalem Stam, like the city of Jerusalem. But once people forgot how to pronounce it, then in case like one would misuse it or pronounce it incorrectly, people would just say Hashem. So, I mean, if someone says it, I won't get offended. All right, guest here. No, it doesn't show up on the YouTube. That's fine. Okay. Welcome. What's up, man? Or ma'am?
Hello, my name is Ungu. You can call me Sam to make it easier. Can you give me just a second to change my headset?
Yeah, man. Sure, no problem.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, someone wrote, I was personally, okay, right, you were assaulted by a rabbi. I'm sorry about that. Okay, someone says, hi, I'm Chabad, and we're not supposed to advertise becoming Jewish. What does that even mean? Let's see how many followers you have. Okay, you don't have enough followers to come here and defend your position, but there's nothing in Jewish law that prohibits us from encouraging people to become Jewish. There's nothing in Jewish law also that commands us to reach out to secular Jews, which is what Chabad calls shlichut, which I'm all for. But it's as much it's more of a nuanced idea to think you have an obligation to born Jews, because at least we have proof that Jews used to reach out to Gentiles in the past over 2,000 years ago. There's never been any source that Jews felt obligated to reach out to someone just because they shared some sort of pedigree. This is something that was invented by Chabad, which I endorse, right? But that's new as well. So if the goal, it seems like Chazal, there's more sources in the Talmud of encouraging Gentiles to consider becoming Jewish than actually feeling an obligation to do kiruv or shlichut or whatever. So yeah, in terms like if you're going to talk about what's new, that's more new. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, sir. What's up?
Yeah, Salam alaikum.
Alaikum shalom.
Yeah, you can call me Sam. I'm from Indonesia.
Oh, hi.
I hope that this is not related with politics. I want to know a little bit more about Judaism. I'm a Muslim. Is that okay?
Sure. No problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, first of all, I want to know, you said that you put your name Rabbi Asser. And is it the same tradition because I know the Judaism from Al-Quran and also from Tanakh. Is that the same tradition since before, like at Moses' time, at Jesus' time? And then I want to know, how do you get the rabbi? Who is giving you authorization? Do you need to learn? Do you need to study? Or tell me how about it, please.
What's the first question? If Yeah, I mean, can you repeat the first question?
Yeah. Just at the end, you become a rabbi who give the authorization because you said that anyone can be can be a Jew, can learn Judaism, and then as short as I know, Judaism is tradition only in the bloodline of Jacob's line.
Okay, so let me start with that question, and then I'll cover the other ones you've mentioned. So there's a misconception, and I'm glad you called because for some reason I think my show aids in clearing this whole controversy up. To be Jewish or to be part of Israel, you don't necessarily have to be from a special pedigree or have a lineage going back to Abraham or Moses. This is a misconception and misinformation pushed specifically by Muslims. There's many individuals in the Torah who weren't born of an Abrahamic pedigree and they were absorbed into the group. We read 2 days ago the story of Esther, Megillah Esther, and it says at the end of the book of Esther that people were mityahadim, they became Jews. On Mount Sinai, there stood a mixed multitude of people from different nations, different backgrounds, and a few chapters later, they were all absorbed into Israel. So you yourself, my friend, could become Jewish or part of Israel. You don't have to be born it. It's true, if you have a Jewish mother, that makes you legally Jewish without having to go through a conversion process, very similar to Islam. If your parents are religious Muslims, you don't have to say your Shahada again. But no one's going to say that Islam is an ethno religion. So how does someone become a rabbi? There's different ways. Now, there's something. So there's many institutions in Israel and America. They're called yeshivot, or I guess kollels also do this as well. That they have certain courses of study. Now, this is the easy way. You could get smicha, you could get ordination in what's called Isser v'Heter, which is like do's and don'ts in Judaism, in Nida, in Shabbat, in certain areas. Then there's general smicha, which is smicha in almost anything, or essentially smicha in everything. But this is, both of these fall under the rubric of smicha yura yura, while to be a dayan, it's a different level of smicha, to be a judge. However, any type of ordination we have nowadays is completely ceremonial. That means it's not real smicha. Real ordination ceased to exist after the 4th century of the Common Era. The ordination we have nowadays was invented in 1536 in Sfat by a rabbi named Mari Beirav. They were trying to reinstitute smicha for many different reasons. I mean, I could get more into it, but I don't think you're going to understand half the things I'm talking about just because it's too in-depth. But for those who do know, anyways, the reason they recreated smicha is because the only way to remove karas, excision, from a person is by giving them lashes, and the type of lashes to remove karas from a rabbinic perspective could only be given by a beis din that had actual smicha. So they reinstituted this, and this is after the time of Shabtai Tzvi. Yeah. Anyways, fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I ask one more question? Just about religion. I don't want to talk about politics, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Is the Yud Hevavhe, or you call Adonai Elohim, the same? How do you look upon the Muslim? The Muslim worship Allah, the one and only God. In Hebrew, you said Echad. In Arabic, we said Ahad, the one and only, nothing beside Him, no one equal to Allah. What do you think? Is it the same God or different God between Yud Hifafe and Alif Lam Lam Ha?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
God. I'll tell you why it's a different God. because the way we know who we worship is what that God expects from us, what He wants for us to do. Now, Allah wants us to do different things than the God of Israel, to the point that our Torah, our instruction manual, Muslims say that we corrupted. And the only acceptable one is the revised set of laws that appear in the Quran. So how could it be the same God? Only because the descriptive terms are the same, the titles are the same. Doesn't mean it's the same God, because essentially
Okay.
your
So
God
you
has
think it's different God, yeah? Rabbi Asher,
yeah,
you think it's different God?
yeah,
But
because it's a different.
Rabbi Saadia Gaon is the same like Alif Lam Lam He, Alif Lam Lam Ha. And
Right.
and the Jewish in Indonesia, they don't pray in the church because there is Avodah Zarah. They pray, they choose mosque if they don't have synagogue. Rabbi
So,
Saadia Gaon said it's the
so,
same, only different Sharia.
so the Ritva said it was a different God. The Ran said it was a different God. There's many rabbis. I think the Satmar Rav also said it was a different God. Only because you quote one rabbi, there's no monolithic understanding on this issue. So I'm giving you my opinion, but it's backed up with many different sources. If you go online and type in Islam is Avodah Zarah or idolatry, you'll get my video, and I mention at least 10 different rabbis who consider it idolatry. One
How
of the
do
more
you
notable.
say Islam is Avodah Zarah? We don't worship idols.
Okay, Rabbi David Bar Chaim, which is probably one of the more notable rabbis online that I admire, says the exact same thing. So I'm not doing anyone. I'll tell you why Islam is Avodah Zarah. Because Avodah Zarah in Hebrew means foreign worship and foreign service. We serve and worship God completely differently. This is why what you practice is idolatry, because you believe that our Torah has been done away with. That itself, we worship God by keeping His commandments. If you're not keeping His commandments as they're instructed to us in the Torah, then you're practicing Avodah Zarah. So idolatry.
It doesn't make sense. You said Avodah Zarah. Tell me how Muslim is Avodah Zarah. We don't worship idols.
Avodah Zarah doesn't mean one who worships idols. Avodah Zarah literally means foreign service or foreign worship. The problem is Islam translates idolatry into shirk. So shirk in Hebrew is shituf. Shituf means partnerships. Now it's true, some say that partnerships is idolatry. Worshipping idols, which in Hebrew is not Avodah Zarah, is Avodat Tesilim, which is also a form of idolatry. But Avodah Zarah encompasses more concepts that are prohibited than just partnerships and worshiping statues. Although, again, worshiping statues is a form of idolatry. Only because you worship one God, you could still be an idolater, because you could worship one turtle, right? Right? Just one turtle.
Oh, turtle is not Elohim. Turtle is not Allah. It doesn't make sense.
Only because someone calls or recycles a name that happens to appear in the Bible doesn't mean that
No,
person.
it's not about the name. It's about the definition of Ehad or Ahad. Turtle is not the same with Allah or Elohim. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
It, it makes perfect sense. I said that you could be a monotheist and be a full idolater. That's what Echad means. Echad means one, right? You worship one God. That doesn't mean you're worshiping our God. If you worship our God, you would keep His commandments. You said that we corrupted those commandments. That means your God has different commandments. So only because you happen to share the same name doesn't mean you worship the same God.
It doesn't matter if you said Elohim or Adonai or Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh is not the same with Allah. But saying that Muslim uh, praying, worshipping other God than you, it's okay. But you said that Muslim is Avodah Zarah, it doesn't make sense. And then you compare Elohim to something that is not Ehad.
You're
You
getting
know, in Surat Al-Ikhlas, God is ahad, yeah? Nothing, no one the same like him. Yeah, ahad means in Arabic, in Al-Quran, said ahad, the one and only. He needs nothing
okay.
to collaborate.
In Hebrew, it just means one. Like all the embellishments you just added, I mean, they're nice attempts, like to in some way, like partake in what I like to call what cannibalistic monotheism, right? In some way, picking fights with everyone around you just so you could present yourself as the true religion. Echad just means one God. You may worship one God, but the only way your God could be our God is if your God commanded you to do what our God commanded you to do. So your God has different commandments. How could it be the same God? I know it's very advantageous for Muslims to say that we were, you know, they say that Jesus was a Muslim, David was a Muslim, Noah was a Muslim. You do that just so you can gather new adherents, but that's extremely dishonest, right? The truth is, our God expects us to serve him by keeping his commandments. If you want to serve the same God we serve, you must also keep those commandments. If you want to keep different commandments, then you serve a different God. I think it's very, very clear and very simple. I know it's a bit, you know, perhaps you never heard it because most Jews can't articulate it properly, right? I mean, they just in some way, as a PR campaign, will say, yeah, sure, they'll consider you heathens and pagans, right? So I'm just being honest.
It doesn't matter if you said it's different, it's okay. And then the Sharia is different. Sharia is in Moses' time and in Jesus' time different. So that's why who love the prophets before Muhammad is only Islam. You don't like Islam because you have something hidden in your heart. And then the same thing like a Christian hate Muslim because they hate something in their side.
I mean, I haven't insulted you. I mean, I described
No, Sam.
the tenets of your.
Christians do not hate Muslims. Mostly what we
If
see
there's
happening in the Middle East is like the other way around.
respond to him, and then I'll let you talk. If he's gonna say that the reason I dislike Muslims and I do not dislike Muslims is because I have something in my heart that tells me that what Islam is true, I mean, that has to be the stupidest response that you're in some way going to inject into a dialogue. Okay, that in some way you're right, but I'm fighting against it because I'm from the devil or something, right? Guy, you know, I'm trying to give you the benefit. I'm trying to have a dialogue with you. Right? That according to the tenets of Judaism, what you happen to practice falls into the rubric of avodah zarah, foreign worship, foreign to what the Torah teaches. Why is that too hard to grasp? You don't believe in the Torah, you believe them, especially if you believe that the reason I'm not becoming Muslim myself is because I know Islam is true and it's in my nature to fight against it. All right, here, go ahead, Bella.
Someone else, so I let him, let her talk.
Okay.
You're a rabbi?
I.
Okay. I must comment on something you said because
Okay.
um, in later times it was established that the Judaism, but in terms of the Sephardic Ju Judaism, um, it is passed from father's side,
That's not true.
just so you know.
That's,
Yes, it
that's
is.
I know that you may believe that. I mean, I've never even heard a Muslim say that. But can can you find me one source, one website, one rabbi who's ever made that statement?
I will look it up for you. Don't
Yeah,
worry. But I know it is that way.
I'm not going to deny that some rabbis teach that Islam is not idolatry. Although, I mean, I quoted rabbis who did teach that it was idolatry. I mean, I quoted the Ran, I quoted the Ritva, I quoted the Satmarav, Rabbi David Bar Chaim. So, you see, the difference between, I think, people who are intellectually honest and people who are just trying to win the debate is that I'm acknowledging that not everyone agrees with me. Okay, but this is why we're dialoguing. I mean, saying like, well, this rabbi teaches this, let's dialogue. I think, look, the reason you're Muslim and not Jewish is because you feel that that Islam is better, that the Torah we have, if we would keep it alone, we would find our faith not validated by God. So how can you acknowledge that we're worshiping the same God? If we're worshiping the same God, well, you would say that we're Muslims, right? But we're, I guess, incomplete Muslims because we don't believe that Muhammad is the final messenger, right?
Rabbi Esther, do you believe Jesus is a Messiah for the Jewish?
No.
Yes, that is why the train called the Messiah Jesus Christ, it passed by, and the Jews are not on it.
So, I mean, how can we
Yeah.
worship the same God if you're acknowledging that we're not on the proper path?
It's okay.
Well,
I sorry, you can carry on. Let me stand by.
no, go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
Simpler to come to the conclusion. I know it's a talking point. It's an Islamic talking point to tell everyone that we worship the same God, just so you can in some way coerce them into becoming Muslim. It's a talking point. You don't really believe it, because if you believed it, you would also think that we're on the right path. I mean, how can we be worshiping the same God and properly we're on the wrong path and you're on the right path? Right? It doesn't make any sense. The reason you think we're on the wrong path is because our God is telling us to do one thing and your God is telling you to do something else. I think it's very clear and very simple to understand, but you have to start thinking for yourself.
Yeah, no. Look, Rabbi Asher, I do not mind if you say you'd have a faith different with Allah. I do not mind. I just said before that Rabbi Saadia Gaon, he is having high authority in Jewish rabbi, as a Jewish rabbi, Rabbi Saadia Gaon. And then many also.
I mean, he doesn't really. I'm a big fan of Rav Sadagon. You know, I mean, he existed, I think, in the like from the year 800 to 9 something, right? I would say that. Hold on, hold on. All right, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Uh, in Al Quran, all the prophets are very, very have good deeds. But when I read the Old Testament, you know, like David, like Noah, and many bad things. Do you believe in the bad things, prophet like that, or me who believe that the prophets would not do?
Okay. I want you to hear what you're saying. You're basically saying that when you read these individuals in our Bible, they were wicked, they were different than the individuals that you read in your Bible. How can they be the same people then?
You choose the bad prophets better than what the prophets mentioned in Quran, who did only good things, not bad things.
Yeah, but it's the same prophets.
You said different before.
No. You're saying that our prophets, the ones that appear in our Bible, they were wicked, they behaved inappropriately, but these same prophets, when they're mentioned in the Quran, it mentions them doing beautiful deeds. How can they be the same individuals?
I think they are the same individuals, only different version by Tanakh, version by Al Quran, different. They are the same person, the same individuals.
So essentially, they have to be different if they're behaving differently. So then it's incorrect and it's dishonest for you to tell a Muslim, for you to tell a Christian or a Jewish person that you believe in the same prophets they do, if your prophets behave differently in your text than in our text. They're essentially different prophets. It's a talking point and it's dishonest. Say, I believe in the Islamic David and the Islamic Isaiah. It's not the same one, but you fail to say that because you know it's a talking point, it's a tactic to win over weak-minded individuals, right? I mean, you have to be honest.
I think they are all the same person. They all the same persons, only different stories by your Tanakh and by Al Quran. So that's why Al Quran correcting the wrong story from your side.
Sam.
Okay, there's somebody else. I think I give it the time to you, host. I'm standing by.
All right, stand by.
Hello.
All right. Ratius, welcome. You're muted, by the way.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't want to interrupt Rogelio. I think he was waiting for some time.
Oh, you
But
are.
I just want to comment on Sam. I think Sam is his name. In the point of view of Christians and Catholics, the prophets of in Islam are the same as in Christianity, with the exception that Jesus Christ is not a prophet but a Messiah.
You're reading a creed to me. Now, why do you keep saying this over and over again? And I just explained that they cannot be the same people. If our prophets behave differently, they're wicked in our. But well, not the prophets, but the people that killed the prophets, essentially, that the Israelites behaved in a way that the Quran does not tolerate. It cannot be the same individual. I know you say it, but only because you say something over and over again doesn't make it true. It's inaccurate.
Well, you do know that there were two brothers, like right, Jacob and
Right.
Esau,
Mm-hmm.
and Esau turned out to become the great grandfather of um
Oh, they're thinking of Ishmael. Ishmael and Isaac. Hello? All right. think we lost Belladonna for a little bit. Observer 1241, welcome.
Hello?
Hi, welcome.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, it's about the prophets. I just came in and heard about the prophets. I believe the prophets are they're the same. It's just how it is reported. You see, it's prophets are supposed to be the best of the best, chosen by God.
Listen.
Okay,
I know,
God would not choose a drunkard.
I know a Muslim is going to believe you're the same. Right? Islam is the last piece of the whole monotheistic puzzle. It's the last religion. The last of the great monotheistic religions is Islam. So clearly, in order for it to stand, it needs some roots. So it has to claim the prophets of old as their own. I get that. But you can't try to convince a Jewish person who doesn't believe in Islam or a Christian person who doesn't believe in Islam that we share the same prophets in common. Okay? See, a Christian person and a Jewish person could agree that they believe in the same prophets because they have the same Bible. You have a completely different book. It's convenient for you to try to convince people that we have prophets in common. But you can't do that when you're adamant that we've corrupted the text and they're different. They have different narratives and different lifestyles. I mean, you don't see that?
Okay, these are prophets of God. We don't claim them to be our prophets. Okay, we believe that these men lived and they were sent by God. Okay, we're just confirming that. The Quran confirms that these are prophets and they were, chosen by God. They're among the best of the people on the earth, and that's it. I mean, if they're the best people, there would be drunkards and adulterers among them. Just logic.
You're a religious Muslim. This is why you're saying this as a creed. As a religious Muslim, this is what Islam teaches. I don't believe in Islam. Christians don't believe in Islam. So how can you in some way expect us to accept your rendition of things? Okay? You're trying to tell a Christian and a Jew that we have prophets in common. Okay? But those prophets only make sense if you're a Muslim. They clearly don't make sense to Jews and Christians because we have different books and we have different narratives to their character. Our prophets sinned. Our biblical characters made mistakes. I don't know why Islam thinks that it's sophisticated to in some way whitewash other behavior and say, oh, men of God can never make mistakes. I mean, do you really think it's a great talking point for Islam?
Okay. Islam goes deeper when it comes to sins. You know, we have major sins and minor sins. Okay, and we believe. I mean, it's something that is understandable to know that if God chose these people, they are of upright character. They might have slips here and there, minor sins, but they would not, be committing major sins like killing, adultery, and all that. So, because they are upright, because they were chosen by God, they fell to minor sins, but not the major sins. And these were historical characters that were there. Nobody can deny it. Okay, no, the story of Noah, the story of the other prophets, they are similar, except small episodes where David maybe sleeps with I don't know, a relative's daughter or somebody's wife, and such things that are not there in the Quran. Now, these are reporting in the Bible that we believe not to be a true account of those episodes in their lives. Okay, and we hold these people that since they are chosen by God, they have to be upright and good character. They would not be committing major sins.
All right. So if I would write a book, well, let's start at this point. If I would create a religion, and that religion had a book, and I included all the caliphs of Islam, Muhammad, Jesus, Moses, but I painted them in a different light. Now, this religion came after Islam. Islam is from the 7th century. This is from the 10th century. Okay? And I went up to you and your friends and said, convert to my religion because we also care about Muhammad. But our Muhammad is different. He wasn't a warmonger. He didn't marry minors. He didn't, drink camel urine, whatever. Okay? And our prophets behave differently than the prophets that appear in the Bible. Would you be convinced that these individuals that appear in my book are the same individuals that appear in your book? I mean, just say yes or no, please.
Well, I just found out your view of Muhammad. I mean, the way you put it. Okay. And that's very insulting.
Look, just don't change the subject. Would you believe it's the same person?
Listen, we have very direct instructions in the Quran that there would not be any other prophet after that.
I have to drop you.
So we would not believe in any other prophet coming after Muhammad.
Ah, beautiful. Because we also
Because
feel
of
the
those
same way.
instructions.
You can add to the Torah.
Do you have instructions in your Bible that no prophets after Moses? Do you have the verse?
No, it says. I said that no other prophet could add commandments. That's what the Torah says. The Torah that came through Moses. There's other prophets, but those prophets are there to bring you to the prophecy.
You see, Abraham, when Moses came, there was an update on what Abraham was sent with. Okay, and Jesus came with another update, and the final update came with Muhammad. Okay.
Are you familiar with the portion
That's
in our
how
Bible?
we look at it.
I know you look at it like that. I mean, if not, there couldn't be an Islam if you didn't believe in updates. However, our Torah prohibits updates. The Torah says specifically in 2 places in Hebrews, "Lo tosef alav ve'lo tigram mimenu." Don't add or take away from these commandments. And it's interesting that this statement found its way in the Quran because they also knew that they didn't want any updates after them. It also appears in the book of Revelation because they didn't want updates afterwards. So this shows that Islam can exist and the New Testament can exist because
those instructions were to the instructions were to the scribes. The scribes, those who are writing, do not add, do not ever take away from the revelation. It doesn't mean that there will be another revelation to update the previous with the new times.
That's what Revelation. Okay, clearly, when someone claims to institute new commandments, it's because they were visited by some angel in a cave. They found some golden tablets. This is what it means. Because people would just claim that. Guys, let's use common sense, please. At least I got you to acknowledge that in such a scenario, you wouldn't acknowledge that it would be the same prophet or the same Muhammad or the same Isaiah in my religion. You would acknowledge it's a different character. I don't know why you're adamant that Christians and Jews should accept the.
It's the same character. It's just how it is reported by the different people, different scribes, different scriptures. It's the same. It can't be different people with the same stories. Like the stories are similar, and it's just a few episodes that are added or removed here and there. But you can't say they're different people. We have 2 Isaiahs or we have 2 Moses, and they have the same stories, and they all went to to the Pharaoh and all that. You see, the stories are similar, except that there's differences here and there. Okay, but we are referring to the same person, except that what was reported about them is from different angles, different people, different but it's essentially the same people. I mean, if we got the wrong account, it doesn't mean that we are referring to a different Moses.
You could say it.
You got that?
Okay, if you believe the Quran is a forgery, then you could say it. If you believe the Quran is true, you can't say it. Why can you come to that conclusion?
You see, Quran is a
I just
living
don't
miracle. I mean,
understand. I
this
really don't
is
understand
challenging
because
you.
um
The Quran is a living miracle, and go and check it out. You see.
All right, I had to kick him off because he's going in circles. Now he's telling me the Quran is a miracle. We're trying to have a dialogue here between what I think are two reasonable people, right? Or at least I think he's reasonable. This is why I gave an example. I mean, a similar example to how we view Islam. A later religion comes along and in some way tries to hijack our biblical characters for the sole purpose of convincing us that we should convert to Islam because we essentially share the same God and share the same prophets. But our God expects different things from us than their God does. Our prophets behave differently than their prophets do that happen to have the same name. But I don't know what's so difficult. What's the issue? Why can they be honest? First, you tell the truth and then you give your opinion. But all they're giving me is creed. They're reading a book. I mean, it's like the tenets of Islam. I know what Islam believes, but you're not talking to a Muslim. You're talking to a Jewish person. You have to speak to us within our source text, which you claim we corrupted.
Rabbi,
uh,
I want to know, you really Judaism, practicing Judaism, or
All right, this is a joke. All right, I'm kicking him off because it's like I like that. Okay, I mean, I told the guy I don't believe in Jesus. Like, why would I be an Orthodox Christian?
Hello, how's it going?
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm about to leave, so I just have one question. I read your background. It says you can become Jewish.
Mm.
So I'm confused. I thought Judaism was only for Jewish people. I'm Muslim, first of all, so I thought, why should we become Jewish?
Interesting. So I'm glad you called because I think this is the main thing. If this if this TikTok live accomplishes anything, it's here to let Muslims know that they've been given incorrect information regarding Jews. You don't have to be from a Jewish lineage or from a Jewish mother to be Jewish. You can convert to Judaism. You, my friend, if you wanted to, you can become Jewish
Really?
and be counted as part of Israel via a formal conversion process.
Okay, thank you. I never heard that before, but thank you. I thought it was only for Jewish people.
I have two comments. The
Okay.
first one is we all know God is big, God is almighty, God created the universe. Would it be so impossible to believe that God not only talked to Jewish rabbis but
Thank you,
also
Rabbi. I have to.
peop but
Yeah, good.
also leaders from other um, cultures
Mhm.
who then created a religion? Would that be so impossible to believe? That's just a comment slash question.
Sure.
And secondly,
But let me ask that first.
yeah,
Okay. But just save the next one for when I respond. I'm sorry. So the reason it's a problem is that Islam is not being very courteous. You're erasing our history. You're in some way saying that you are the improved version. What we have, we've corrupted. I mean, this is why it seems unreasonable for you to expect that from a Jewish person to just acknowledge that maybe he did talk to Muhammad, but from that perspective, right? I mean, the Quran can't be true and Judaism be a viable alternative to God, right? One is true and one is false. So I know that you believe that everyone is essentially a Muslim. That's part of the creed. And then when you become Muslim, you're just a revert. I'm not even sure how that even makes sense, but fine. That's why it's unreasonable. Because if we would acknowledge that there's any validity in that statement, we would be erasing our existence religiously. Now, why is it that you just can't join the older religion? I mean, isn't that more reasonable? Instead of reinventing the wheel, because the average person who came to Islam knew nothing about the people who came before Muhammad, right? I mean, because the only reason you know about the only reason you know about Jewish history or Christian history, it's because it's It was revealed to you via the Quran, right? So I think it would be to go with the older religion first, to at least look into it, i.e., Judaism, and then go from there. But the problem is, Judaism would stop you at the end of the book of Deuteronomy because it tells you don't add or take away from it. So I think if you really want to follow God, you don't really have a choice but to go back to the Torah.
Okay. I said it before, the Tanakh is the same as the Old Testament, but anyways,
No, I agree.
the
I agree.
okay, the second comment I have is, well, it's actually a question. Are you aware that there are three Abrahamic religions? Um, it is not
Uh-huh.
just Judaism, but also Christianity and Islam. Are
Okay.
you aware of that?
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. Que tú eres española, ¿no?
También hablo español, sí.
Ah, no, pero te oigo como el está ahí, como que de...
um, I'm I'm half I'm both Dutch and Colombian.
Ah, yo soy colombiano.
Mitad, mitad.
Ah, bueno, que yo también, que yo nací acá, en los Estados Unidos, pero mis padres son de Barranquilla.
Ah, qué bueno.
Uh, okay, there. For some reason, I thought you were from Spain.
No,
A ver,
para nada.
wait,
No.
okay. So, am I aware that Judaism is, or that there are three Abrahamic belief systems? No, I am not, because first of all, I don't view Ishmael as the parent to Islam. The Torah doesn't tell us what ultimately became of Ishmael. It seems, according to the narrative, the trend we see in the Torah is that he did teshuvah. That means he made up with his brother when they went to bury their father Abraham, and that's it. That's all we hear about him. Now, there are traditions even amongst the Jewish people that that Arabs were called they were called Ishmaelim, but that I mean it's not in the Torah, and that's essentially the tradition that permeated the tribe of Koresh, which is where Muhammad was from, and this is why you think it goes all the way back to Abraham, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, have you ever considered becoming Jewish?
This might sound crazy to you, but I am already Jewish.
No. Really?
Yes.
All right. So why
But
you fight?
that is what I was explaining to you. In the Sephardic line is passed through the father. It is not passed through the mother.
I don't. Okay. I I don't get that. I mean, it's just not true. I don't know
Yes,
what you're.
yes, it is true.
Okay. So, who's the most popular Sephardic rabbi to ever live? I'll tell you. It's Maimonides, right? So,
Okay.
in his code of Jewish law, it clearly states that it's through the mother. In every code of Jewish law, right? I mean, there's actually one statement, just to be honest.
But you know why that Jewish law was made? Everything is made for a purpose. It was made because ever since um, Jews existed, they were invaded and by other groups of people, and in order to preserve the religion, it was easier for them to pass it down the line of the women. Especially in these modern times, you see it is necessary. But um, when you have certain uh, Sephardic lines that happen to be of priestly line, it is passed through the father.
Okay. So again, I don't know where you got that. The reason it's not so important is that the notion that it's passed through the mother is completely rabbinic. It's nowhere in the Torah does it say that it's by the father or the mother. It says the father determines the tribe, but you could be part of a tribe and not be in any covenant with God. anyone could be in a covenant with God, even if you're not an Israelite. If you commit yourself to keep the law, then you have a connection to the God of Israel. Only because you're ethnically Israel, right? The reason they determine that it's by the mother is because that is what makes you legally Jewish, not spiritually Jewish, or in a covenant with God. That means the court could punish you if you happen to live in the land of Israel, if you happen to have a Jewish mother. That's it. Or if you convert to Judaism. There has to be some standard. But it wasn't that, I think Kabbalists nowadays teach that the soul travels through the mother. I mean, they've invented a lot of things. It doesn't feel like it's in the Talmud, obviously. Yeah, what's the big deal? The Torah says that if you do such and such, you should be cut off from your people, no matter what tribe you belong to, no matter who your mother happens to be. So I don't know why it's important, unless you believe that blood matters to God.
Oh, it does. Oh, it does.
Uh,
And I do see it with my own eyes every time. It is not religion related, but many times blood is much thicker than water.
oh, you mean with like relatives, and I disagree with that also. We're born with relatives, but we acquire friends, and I think friendship is many times more important than family.
Agree to disagree, but
Okay.
okay.
No, it's just my opinion. I.
Well, that's your opinion.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. But I'll tell you, you could just convert to Judaism and be fully Jewish. You're saying because your father is a Sephardi Jew and your mother is Colombian. I, I don't think it matters.
Actually, they're both Sephardic Jewish.
Okay. That's a possibility. That's fine. That's fine. Being Jewish or being of a Abrahamic pedigree means nothing if you're not keeping
Sure.
God's command.
I believe you because you said it. I believe you. I'm
No,
sorry. I'm being sarcastic. I do not believe you.
but you believe God cares about blood or what blood goes through your veins apart from the belief and the behavior.
Of course, God cares. Why would God invest so much time in telling prophets to write who was the son of who during ages? Like this person is the son of that person. That person happened to be the son of that person.
God,
Why would that be important if God was not interested in keeping lineages?
so the genealogies that appear in the Bible are not written by God. The word of God are the commandments we received on Mount Sinai. He sent us prophets to bring us back to the Torah. Only because there happens to be a genealogy in the Bible doesn't mean that God cares about genealogy.
So God wasted his time on making that map for nothing.
God
That
write
is
that.
what you think?
So
uh,
you think prophets are written by God, even the narrative?
ay,
I'm just telling you,
that is
we as Jews,
that is everything religion is about. You have a prophet that was told by God to write down. That is what it is. What it is all about.
yeah, so God never told any prophet to write down any books for us to read. The job of the prophet was only to bring people back to one book, and that's the Torah. That's it. The rabbi,
Okay, now and
it says in the Talmud who wrote the books of the prophets. It says that the court, i.e., the judges in the time of Hezekiah, wrote the books of the prophets. That's what it says. And the rabbis debated what books of these prophets would they include in the canon. But the judges didn't walk around thinking that the books of the prophets are the word of God because they wrote them.
now, well, now I'm annoyed. Really, now I'm annoyed because
I mean, yeah, no,
I'm
okay,
annoyed because I have to step back into Christianity. I mean, uh, that is what I was raised into, and I enjoy being a Christian. Um, God brought His only Son to us to teach us how to pray to God. I mean, that is what we believe in Christianity. So everything is done because of God. and God is big. God is created the universe. Why should I believe that God only talked to Jewish rabbis?
No, God didn't
Um,
only Jewish rabbis. I never said that, by the way. God is speaking even today to whoever is willing to listen. And on Mount Sinai, there stood Hebrews and non-Hebrews. And even today, God is speaking to you right now. You could choose to follow God or not choose to follow God. I mean, it's a misconception that the Torah is only for Jews and God only spoke to Jews from a Jewish perspective. The Jews acknowledge that the message is universal, okay? But the Jewish people as a nation embraced it. However, the nation is made up of many different people, not just descendants of Abraham. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's complicated. Welcome, tribe.
Hello, hi. I have one question
Yeah.
about adultery.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian and I want to know the view of the Judaism on adultery. How do you define it or explain it?
Not allowed.
Is two-wife adultery or that?
Is having two wives adultery?
Yes.
No.
Can you explain it more?
According to Jewish law, a man's allowed to have up to 4 wives. According to Jewish rabbinic law, according to Torah law, there is no limit on this. People can look this up in the Rambam Hilchot Ishut, chapter 14. So a man can have multiple wives. Nowadays, it's not done. The state of Israel has outlawed it. The Ashkenazim have prohibited it 1,000 years ago. Sfardim never prohibited it. Before the state of Israel was established, Mizrahi Jews had multiple wives. It's not, it's not a new thing.
So what makes adultery?
So adultery is a man or a woman sleeping with someone who's prohibited to them. In that case, if a woman who was married slept with anyone other than her husband, that would be an act of adultery. According to Jewish law, if a married man slept with an unmarried woman, that would not be adultery. It's dishonest if he didn't get the consent of his wife to get an additional wife. But that itself wouldn't be adultery. It would be adultery for a man if he slept with a married woman, though. According to Jewish law, I'm just telling you the Jewish law. Most people don't care because they're not interested in like rabbinic Judaism, but that's just how it appears.
Okay. Thank you.
Shalom Aleichem.
Alechem Shalom. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, so have a question.
Otro
The
Latino.
question, no, I'm just, at the moment when you're living in Mexico, I'm from Lithuania, other side of planet. Yeah. So the question would sound like, let's say the person have a Jewish bloodline from mom and from dad.
Mhm.
What does it make the person?
It makes them legally Israel. Legally.
Okay, and let's say the Ashkenazi mom and dad.
You mean Ashkenazi Jewish, right?
Yes. Well, of the oldest son of Noah.
Oh no, that's
Japheth.
not. So, in the book of Genesis, there's an individual named Ashkenaz, but it's not the same person that Ashkenazi Jews come from. The word Ashkenaz in I guess Talmudic.
It's a territory, you mean?
Right. I mean, it refers to Germany, but that doesn't mean that it's the same Ashkenaz from the book of Genesis. I mean, just like Sepharad means Spain. But even the word Sepharad appears in the book of Isaiah, but it doesn't mean that the Jews who came from Sepharad were there from the time of Isaiah. So Ashkenazi Jews are the descendants of Italian Jews who escaped from Israel to Italy. I mean, they were essentially exiled there after the Roman conquest. And then from Italy, they went to Germany, or what the rabbis called the West back then, which included France. So if an Ashkenazi Jew had a Jewish mother and a Jewish father, then he or she would be legally Israel.
Okay, here comes the second question. The mom and dad, all the family was not practicing, and the person have no, how to explain, how to say, was not grown with the tradition. No circumcision, no bar mitzvah, and stuff.
They would still be legally Jewish, not religiously Jewish, legally Jewish, meaning that if this individual happened to live in the land of Israel in biblical times when there was a court, he would be liable to the punishments of that court. Or he would have to serve in the military. The truth is, these individuals wouldn't live in such a place because there's a penalty of I mean, I can't even use, I guess, whatever, a death penalty in Israel for breaking the Sabbath. And why would anyone keep the Sabbath if they didn't really believe in God? So yeah, but they would still legally be Jewish, but not spiritually. I mean, they wouldn't be in a covenant with God.
Okay, thank you. And let's say the person want to get married with no circumcision, no bar mitzvah. Can the person can do that with other Jewish person who have a bloodline from mom in a synagogue?
Yes.
Would it be official? Can it be official?
Yes, it would be official.
Okay. And does the wedding requiring some bar mitzvah or circumcision or something like that, or just can go unmarried?
Correct. It doesn't require a bar mitzvah or circumcision.
Okay, like easy peasy.
Well, it's a legal procedure. I mean, it's not. It's what you make it in terms of regarding your religiosity with God. If you have a devotional understanding of you connecting with your wife, that's what's important. But the actual procedure of marriage is legal. That means it's not necessarily tied to anything spiritual. It deals with obligations, what a man has to provide for his wife, and that's what appears in the ketubah and what's called the tanaim that they signed before. Yeah, that's just the way it is.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Your answers are very important. Thank you. Thank you for your job you're doing, and please take a good care about your health, mental health, because you are going a lot with with the person.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but thank you anyways.
Yeah, I mean, like with Muslim people before, you was, you're wasting your energy. Well, it's about your good health. Thank you, and have a lovely evening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next. All right, hold on one second, guys.
Rabbi, there was a question by one of your readers. It asked, what is the Jewish stance on afterlife when somebody dies?
So, Judaism, i.e., what Jews believe, includes a heaven and a hell. We don't call it heaven and hell. Like heaven, we call Olam Haba, which is the world to come. Hell, they say Gehinom. But the understanding, the Kabbalistic understanding, is that a Jew only spends up to 11 months there. The Torah itself doesn't mention a heaven and a hell. It seems like they're optional beliefs. So I think that's one thing that makes Judaism sophisticated. that we have optional beliefs. That if you're not convinced of a certain idea, you're not, or you shouldn't be kicked out of the synagogue. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I know Islam believes in it. Christianity, I mean, they're essentially built off of it. If you don't have heaven and hell, you don't have Christianity or Islam.
No, Christianity also reads the Old Testament, and in the Old Testament, it talks about when a person dies, then the person goes into a deep sleep. The person is not aware of anything anymore. Then, and that's it.
There's statements of Paul that contradict that. It says Paul says to be absent from the body is to be present before the Lord. It's not so monolithic like that. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the bosom of Abraham. That in some way, people who die religiously, saved, are in some way held in the bosom of Abraham till Jesus comes back and in some way redeems them properly. Okay, fine.
No, I'm not talking about the bosom, because in the Old Testament there is no mentioning of Jesus. Jesus comes, and the stories about Jesus, they are all in the New Testament. In the Old Testament, it just says when a person dies, the person goes into a deep sleep. It is no longer aware of anything else. Nothing, of course, can disturb you either, because you are in a deep sleep, and that's it.
Does it say deep? I think you're quoting the book of Psalm. The book of Psalms. It says that the dead know nothing and they can't worship you from Sheol, from the pit. But I don't think it specifically says that they go into a deep sleep, or those who sleep in the dust. Oh, you're quoting Daniel chapter 12, maybe? Those that sleep in the dust, I mean, some will be raised up.
No, it's not Daniel either. It
So give me
it
a verse.
says, oh, I mean, I don't have the Bible on me, but I am a good reader. It says the person goes into a deep sleep. It says nothing else. It's just the person goes into a deep sleep. That's it.
Okay, so my friend with the Real Alibaba says it's Psalm chapter 146. But I'm curious what it says. Hold on, I'm just curious. 1 second. All right. I think. Yeah, but it doesn't say sleep here. Anyway, it's fine. All right, next topic, guys. Keep it coming. Christians hop in, Muslims hop in, atheists, Jews, you get in first. I mean, if you're a hater. When it's Thursday night, where's everyone at? So you're a Christian, Bella?
Yes, I'm a Catholic Christian.
Oh, that's right. No, I convinced you for a Muslim today. But yesterday you mentioned you being Christian, yes. Interesting. Okay.
I know a little bit about Islam and the differences between Christianity and Islam.
Mm-hmm.
In Islam, they believe in and they pray to angels. They believe in jinns, which are kind of like demons or bad spirits. We don't have that in Christianity. We don't believe in
Interesting.
talking to angels or believe that evil spirits are staring at us,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Do you live in Holland?
Yes.
I've been to Amsterdam. I went to the Amsterdam synagogue. I don't know what else. Oh, I went to the Heineken factory, the Heineken beer factory.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. All right, guys, let's keep it going. I'm gonna invite some people in here. I'm gonna invite all the troublemakers. Yeah, there's no point in having 1,000 followers if you can't hop into a line and disrupt.
Shalom.
Oh, hi, how's it going?
Why am I considered a troublemaker?
No. Here, well, let me introduce you to my friend Alibaba. Alibaba, say hi.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Shalom, Ali.
Shalom Aleichem.
There we go. Well, do you know who Ali is?
No, I've just been following him in the conversation.
That's it. Yeah, he's a top G from New York. Well, let him know.
I'm from Chicago.
Well, there you go. I'm gonna make a shidduch tonight. Okay, all right. So, what do you guys think of the title? Judaism is better. You could become Jewish. Were you familiar with this notion of becoming Jewish?
I was under the impression that... Go ahead, my apologies.
No, you go ahead.
Thank you. I was under the impression that Judaism did not actively seek converts. It's been that way since recorded history. Actually, I believe there's a note somewhere in the Bible where people are dissuaded from becoming Jewish.
So, Judaism, well, it depends how you define Judaism. If you define it according to our source text, which is like the Torah and the Talmud, nothing in the Torah or the Talmud prohibits encouraging people to become Jewish. I think the instance you're talking about in the Bible is the story of Ruth. So in the story of Ruth, there's a famine. I'm sorry. There's a famine in the land. So it seems that Ruth is only wanting to join herself to the Jewish people because of that famine. So Naomi wants her to confirm her decision to follow God and join her people. But that's not a law for us to in some way discourage people who want to join our religion. Okay, you could become Jewish.
I mean, I don't disagree with the title. I just think some people might find it off-putting. Was when you use the term better, it makes it sound superior in a way to some people because that's their interpretation.
Yeah, well, better just means a little more superior. I mean, it's better than saying bad.
I mean, I don't disagree. I'm born and raised Jewish. My parents are Jewish, so I don't disagree. And I haven't disagreed with anything that you said. So
yeah, no, it's like saying Coke's better than Pepsi. Heck, I don't know. Better than John Wick 3. It's not. In life, most things are better than other things. In life, the choice is typically between what's good and what's better, and not between what's horrific and what's perfect. So what's the big deal, right?
But good or better is very subjective.
No, for sure it is. For sure.
Exactly.
That's the only reason we're having this dialogue, because it's subjective. I'm here to make the case for it, as long as you present good challenges.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on many of your points, actually. I am not Jewish. I am not Catholic either. I grew up in a household that was very like Catholic. We went to church once a year, and basically there was no religion at home. I started reading I went to Catholic schools, started questioning about in the 5th grade. Nobody at school was able to give me a decent answer. I started reading the Bible then. I eventually ended up reading the Bible 15 or 20 times. I studied under a rabbi for a few months. I browsed over the Quran. And one of the things I basically kept from that journey is the differences between the Old and the New Testament, and the way that Christians will take every single word in the New Testament as literal, and they will disavow the Old Testament when it conflicts with their New Testament beliefs. And the issue I've always had with that is that how can the how can the sequel be right when the original book is wrong?
Right.
What I'm saying?
Right.
Okay.
And that makes sense.
So why are you? So you're a Christian now, or you're becoming Jewish? I mean, it sounds like you're already sold on the notion.
Uh, so I'm not Christian at all by any means. Uh, I'm I'm not quite. I'm an agnostic actually, but
And
I did.
that's
If I had to choose between Christianity or Judaism, I would go to the source belief. Christianity to me is basically Rome, Christianity, Judaism becoming pagan and accepting Roman beliefs, and they called that new religion Christianity. They said it was based on Judaism, but it only has a figurehead. But basically, most of the beliefs in Christianity are more akin to pagan beliefs as opposed to Jewish beliefs. The concept of, for example, uh, Satan in the Bible, as I believe Jewish believe in Satan. Satan is basically a title, the accuser. It's like God's DA. And in the Bible, Satan never disobeyed God. However, if you hear the Christian rhetoric, it's a completely different character. It's basically also hell. According to me, and I might be very wrong, the Jewish, I can't remember the word right now, my apologies, Sheol, is very akin to the Greek Hades. But if you take a look at Christian hell, well, then you have to go to Dante Alighieri's book, The Inferno, to basically have a belief of what they believe it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I agree with you from a literal biblical perspective. Unfortunately, Judaism is not literal as its practice, and that's where Christianity came from. Um, the Christian notion of hell, the Christian notion of Satan, all this is justified in rabbinic literature. And I'm not a Christian, and I don't believe in it, right? I mean, I don't believe in the Christian or Jewish notion of hell, or the Christian or Jewish notion of Satan. Um, I think they're developed ideas, and I mean, it doesn't appear in the Torah. The only instance I think Satan appears in the Jewish Bible is the book of Job, and that itself, I mean, the rabbis believe that it was just allegorical. It never really happened. It's just there to teach you a story. We don't even know who wrote the book. We don't even know when it was written. It's not, called like a
I I agree.
But where's your background from, Rurik?
I am from Mexico. I grew up in border city, El Paso, Texas. Went to Catholic schools. My family is French and Spanish, basically.
Right. All right. I notice your accent a little bit.
Yes, it's quite heavy at the moment.
Yeah. I, I mentioned that I mean, I think all serious Bible scholars, to a certain extent, are also agnostics, but we're just optimistic agnostics. I think it's healthy to acknowledge that sometimes we doubt our faith in God, right? And it's. I think the better argument is the necessity for God instead of actually trying to prove that God exists. That people who believe in a God, and specifically the God in the Bible, live richer, fuller lives. They're more benevolent. They donate more time, more money. Especially children, uh, they essentially just live richer, fuller lives than people who have some sort of nihilistic trend in their life. And yeah, I mean, I think for someone to walk around knowing for a fact that God exists 100%, I think that's kind of nutty. I think it's even more nutty for an atheist not to claim that he denies his atheism. Well, I think all decent people acknowledge their struggles. I think Mother Teresa's diary explained that she also, at certain times, doubted the belief in God. So I think all healthy religious people are essentially
But
That's
it
a good
doesn't mean they're
definition.
realistic. Sorry to interrupt. It does not mean they are realistic. I mean, in Christianity, for example, um, I think it's because they are not fully educated or something in the scriptures, but they blame everything on the devil. I don't know much about Jewish practice, or that if they blame the devil for everything wrong that happens to them or what wrong things they do. But many Christians,
No,
Catholics happen to blame. Yeah, well,
we
say
just
it. Yeah.
simply go by the we just simply go by the commandments. If you follow the commandments, then you're following God's law. If you're not following the commandments, then you're not following God's law. There needs not be another entity for you to blame your faults on.
yeah, but there is
Absolutely.
It's your relationship. It is your relationship with God.
Orthodox Jews.
Are you
Unfortunately,
sure about that? So, for example, if Rabbi Asher cheats on his wife, um, he will not go start telling people no, he cheated on his wife because the devil came into him.
well, you got to put.
Well, isn't adultery a commandment?
But what I'm trying to say is what comes out of the mouth of the person who committed the adultery or who committed the sin.
People can be capable of many things. That is an individual. Though, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is holistically as a whole what the entire community follows, if that makes sense.
Because many Christians they they do something wrong and they say no, it was the devil and it was
All right,
the devil that made them do it.
so let me respond.
But
Respond.
it's not all right. It's not all right because the New Testament says that when
When I used to
people
be a
do
toddler,
evil,
I
they
used to
just do
blame
evil
all
by
of
themselves.
All right. So I think that first we have to tell the truth, and then we give our opinions. So the truth is, the vast majority of Jews who are religious, who are Orthodox, uh, believe very similar to Christians in this area. I don't believe in that because I'm on the rationalistic side. I'm a big student of the Rambam and
Same.
rabbis. However,
Same.
the average Jew will not say the devil, made me do it or something like that, but they will blame what's called the Yetzer Hara, or like the evil eye. This is why they wore red bindles and a hamsa. And there's even, I think yesterday someone mentioned the whole notion of shalom zachor. So shalom zachor is before a male child is circumcised, the Shabbat beforehand, they gather a minyan together in the house to pray for the child because there's demons trying to kill the child before he becomes circumcised. Uh, and there's tons of things like this. The reason we have this practice called an upshirim, uh, there's a practice of boys not cutting their hair to the age of 3, so after the age of 3. And some people have tied it to the whole Orla thing that we don't trim a tree after the 3rd or possibly 4th year. It's not true. It's because Kabbalistic literature teaches that there are demons um, trying to harm Jewish boys, um, and they dress them up as Jewish girls to fool the demons. And it's there's a lot of silliness amongst the Jewish people. This is not what the Torah teaches, right? But I don't like people just pointing their fingers at Christians in some way, saying that they invented this. They didn't. They got it from the Christianity is essentially a form of Judaism, an early form of Gnostic Judaism. Um, yeah, I mean, the Christians believe in a trinity. In a trinity, the Kabbalists believe in the Sefirot, like the 10 emanations of God, which is, I believe, it's more problematic. But I'm just trying to be honest. So
I agree as well.
Same.
yeah,
Any influence
But
from Zoroastrianism into Judaism?
from Zoroastrianism.
Yes.
Well, I think in terms of belief, Judaism was dualistic before. Well, I mean, Zoroastrianism predated. When did Zoroaster exist? Was it before Moses?
Zoroaster existed after Abraham, before Moses.
Mm. Yeah. So some people say that because Zoroastrianism teaches that there's a war between the sons of light and the sons of darkness, that's essentially may have influenced Judaism's dualistic understanding. And I view dualism as a form of polytheism. Um, being a polytheist doesn't mean that you worship multiple gods. It just means that you acknowledge that multiple gods exist.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's only one God, right? But
Hold
I
on.
saw in India also.
Doesn't the Bible mention several times? You know, I really can't recall. I'm a bit ill at the moment. But there's several stories. One with Moses and the staff turns into a snake. Pharaoh's magicians did it as well. Also, there was um, there was a story. Can't recall it, but there was a test made on faith. They told somebody you can pray to your God and leave this meat and water all day. It's still not going to cook. Something along those lines. I'm really far-reaching right now, but the Bible does recognize other deities. Isn't uh, why it's the first commandment out of the 10 mentions that you should have no other gods before Him. Isn't that an admission of the possibility? Also, there is a story somewhere in the Bible talks about the breads that they're bringing because of the Queen of Heaven, and I've also heard that Elohim is actually a plural word.
Okay.
No, Elohim is not plural, by the way.
I mean, let's go in order here. So the Bible acknowledges worshippers of other gods and the belief in other gods. It doesn't acknowledge the actual existence of these gods. So I mean, I think, yeah, you're thinking of the story of Elijah when God tells like Elijah go to Mount Carmel and in some way challenge the prophets of of Baal, um, you know, that they could pray and see like if bring down fire from heaven and this and that. It doesn't happen, which in some way I think proves that it's not true. I mean, it's not like, yeah, there's no instance in the Bible where the existence of a foreign actual God is verified.
Can I add to that?
Yes, but
Also, I mean, since you were quoting from the Nach, meaning the, outside of the Torah, you're saying that the Torah acknowledges other God, but in the same book it says very clearly, before me there were no God form, after me there will not be another God. I am the first and the last. Besides me there is no other God. So that's God right there acknowledging that there is nothing else besides Him.
Hence the singular I am.
yeah. So it's interesting. I was in India, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, and Indians have an interesting belief system. I mean, it's quite similar to Judaism, not Torah Judaism, but I mean, there's so many different streams of Hinduism. But I think probably the most popular stream, there is one God, right? I mean, Brahman is one God, and all these other sub gods are essentially what we call in Judaism angels. I mean, what's an angel really but a God with a little g, right? A powerful one. I mean, that's essentially what Elohim means. I mean, it means powerful ones. The difference is that they have more guts to just call them gods with a little g, um, and we call them angels. But we pray to those angels. I don't pray to them, but every Shabbos when you sing Shalom Aleichem, what are you doing? You're praying to these angels that they should escort you back from the synagogue, and you're asking them, I mean, to like do you favors. So Jews pray to angels. Well, Kabbalistic Jews pray to angels. I mean, similar to how Hindus pray to their gods, but they're essentially they become gods with a little g. Now I don't view angels at all. I don't view angels from that perspective. I mean, I think angels, a malach just means a messenger, and it's typically always a human messenger. And the classifications that appear in the book of Ezekiel are far off, and they don't like, for example, in Ezekiel it mentions that that cherubims have the face of of a baby, but It appears nowhere like that in the Torah. I mean, a cherub is not even an angel in the Torah, but it's classified as an angel in the prophets. Things like beings like Michael and Gabriel appear nowhere in the Torah, and suddenly now they've entered our religion just because we essentially adopted them from other religions and societies. So I don't know the problem.
I have a question for Bella because she has a very interesting background. So both, if I understood correctly, both of her parents are ethnically Jewish, but she chooses to be Christian. Correct?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So if you don't mind me asking, I'm not. It's okay if you don't want to answer. How did you choose that after becoming an adult, or did like your entire family convert?
No, it is a bit difficult to explain, but it goes kind of like somewhere along my grandfather on on the one side, he
Mm,
married a Catholic woman,
mm.
and on the other side, my great grandfather married a Catholic woman.
So
So
are your
yes,
parents
that's
do your parents practice Judaism or do they practice Catholicism?
no, they also practice sorry, practice Christian Catholicism.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know because that was just interesting.
No, it's okay, but that is what I was explaining also. In the Sephardic line, it is passed through father lineage. But
Yeah, I'm
um,
Sephardic, and that's the first time I heard that, by the way.
okay, well, now you know.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody knows, but I
Yeah,
guess
I've
the
never.
French people that you're around. No offense.
Oh, I find it very interesting that you want to know where and when. I will look it up, and someday I will find you and teach you all about it.
Now, the most interesting and most often question that I ask any Christian is this: because you believe in a holy trinity and you believe that Jesus and God are the same. Um, so it's a long question. Just first of all, if you understand, if it is your belief that Jesus and God are the same, then how are you okay with the change of the name from Yahshua to Jesus? That's number one. How are you okay with his physical presence breaking a commandment or two, one and two, basically? And then how are you okay with following Christianity when Jesus, according to you all's text in the New Testament, that he was Jewish? So then why would you not then be Jewish?
It makes sense.
Okay. Well, the first question, indeed, in the New Testament, it is written that Jesus is the Son of God. It is God in the flesh. The Trinity consists of God the Father, God the Holy Ghost, and God the Son, as in Jesus Christ. It is
Have
very
you read the
difficult for
Old
many
Testament?
people to understand. What?
Have you read the Old Testament?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and how do
And
you
God is
reconcile
called,
the differences?
Rurik, Rurik, God is calls himself also the Lord of hosts. So, like the Lord of HOSTS, host, as in the commander of the army of the angels. So, and God calls himself many times several other names in the Old Testament. But anyways, going back to the question of 25K diamond. um, well, in Christianity, we all learned about Jesus Christ using the name while calling him Jesus Christ. The translation probably in Jewish in Hebrew would be kind of like or sounding like Joshua. Oh, how did you say
Yehoshua,
um
Yehoshua.
Yeah, Yahshua.
yeah, yes, yes. I think um for people in the West it is easier to say Jesus because if you don't talk um
Hebrew.
Hebrew, it is kind of like difficult to mention the name in Hebrew or yes. And your third question was about I kind of forgot.
If Jesus was Jewish and you understand and recognize that Jesus was Jewish, then why aren't Christians Jewish?
Okay. Jesus did not break with all traditions. He just brought new ones, additions. He came basically to the people so he could teach them how to pray to God. And the prayer is, of course, like our Holy Father, um, that, and basically teaching people the way of caring for each other, love. But he did not break with the old traditions. Why do we now have separation? You have Christianity over here and you have Judaism over there. That's because back then the authorities, um, who in the time of Jesus, they did not accept Jesus. They casted him aside. So, and them for doing that, they created a separation. And of course, now we have Judaism on the one side, and you have Christianity on the other side.
Hmm. Next question. Guys, keep it going.
Well,
Hello.
I understand everything that she just said, and it's the Christian answer that I get from all Christians, and
All
I'm
right.
not trying to be disrespectful, but
So my question to
it
you, I mean, 25K.
what's up?
Have you ever considered becoming a Catholic?
No, but I've been to a Catholic church and it was scary.
Why?
Because it felt like a ritual, a ritualistic type of experience. There was a lot of exercising type movements, up, down, up, down, up, down.
By the way,
There, I'm sorry.
chuckle. I mean, I think apart from the statue, the whole Gothic feel, and not all Catholic churches are like that. I mean, I think
I've been to a couple. I've been to a couple, and the biggest issue that I had was the fact that they did that there were no Bibles. There were literally no Bibles in either of the churches that I went to, and they passed out the word that was meant to be read, and you um,
all right,
were not informed on if it actually came from the Bible.
all right. So Judaism does the exact same thing. The
Not
average,
where I come from.
okay. So, but they only read the Torah 3 times a week. All right, and in that time, but they're reading it in Hebrew, so no one knows typically what they're reading, and they're only reading a small portion, and they're flying through it. I think, I'm just trying to be honest here. Uh, I'm not here to make fun of someone else's religion. With my religion has things that look just as cringy.
I think that's just your Ashkenazi side. You know what I mean? Because you go to an Ashkenazi synagogue and it's like,
Yes.
the other way
Yeah,
around. You go to a Sephardic synagogue and you're there and it's already dinner time and they're still reading from the from the Torah.
yeah, like I every Sabbath, like we are there from like 8 a.m. to like 7, bro. Like it's and there's when I say that there's a difference in the feeling of things that go on, it did not feel like I was involved in in any type of ritualistic thing. It felt like education. It did not feel ritualistic. And when I visited, I've been to other Christian denominational churches. I've been to many other types of churches, but Catholic churches were the ones that made me feel like something was really off.
Fine. At least with Orthodoxy, it's look. I go to an Orthodox synagogue, but I don't like lying about anything. And it's a it's as ritualistic as a Catholic church.
I can imagine that I'm not disputing that there are ones out there. I'm just saying it has not been my experience.
Okay. All right.
I think your experience is very fascinating because I experience it very differently. I've been I no let me see. I have seen the a miss. How you call that? The Sabbath.
Hmm.
No, yes, the Sabbath miss church at the synagogue, and I see them singing, and I was like, since when do they sing in the synagogue? But I there happens to be more synagogues where they sing. Am I right or wrong?
Synagogues, there's certain prayers that they sing, especially on Shabbat.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's common. It's common.
yeah, that's common.
All right, so
But they sing like with really high tones and I mean not to sound evil or something, but
right.
nobody there has a good voice.
Okay, okay. No, I know what she's talking about. Like she's talking,
I know. Yeah, I know. I understand what she means.
right. I mean, cantors like what's his name? Yisrael Rosenblatt, like cantors with the hats and everything like that. You don't find that so much in the Orthodox world, but you do find it in the conservative world and even Reform world. That it's an actual profession. In Ashkenazi synagogues, they're typically aren't professional cantors. Anyone leads the prayers. But when there are professional cantors, there's a lot of like, oh, it's like an opera style thing. You know that if you're not into that, it's gonna sound weird. But every synagogue, there's many different types of synagogues. But I get it. I mean, we shouldn't say that. I mean, I personally like Gothic stuff, and I like my house is full of paintings and stuff like that. So I dig, like Russian Orthodox icons and stuff like that. I mean, I think it looks cool. But I don't think that makes one religion any better than the other. Um,
Well, I think my biggest issue was if you're going to read the word should come from the book. Don't give me a pamphlet. Please give me the actual book. I want to see the actual word. And I find that and not just visiting the churches. I know many Catholic people that don't know the first thing about New Testament, Old Testament, nothing. They can't. I don't know a Jewish person, period, that doesn't know the commandments like the back of their hand. Not one. I know
uh,
plenty of Christians
wait, wait,
that don't know them at all.
wait, hold on. All right. So I think that statement is inaccurate, at least from the 90.
It can't be inaccurate, Rabbi. That's my experience.
Yeah, but
I
90.
know plenty of people, but on in different denominations from multiple backgrounds. If Christians are supposed to be, if their entire religion is supposed to be based off of Judaism, then you would think that they would know the basic laws. The basic. There's only 10 commandments. It's not that hard to learn those.
No, there's
But
well,
but where did 25K? Where did you find Christians? I mean, I really wonder because the ones I find to talk to, they all know everything.
Okay, everything is a little bit on the other side, you know.
but I mean, I would say the vast majority of Jews are probably as lost as than. I mean, honestly, look, I think the average Christian knows the Bible better than the average Jew. This is just what 90% of Jews aren't even religious. Now, we also have a secular aspect to our people, which Christians do not have. Once a Christian stops believing in Jesus, he's no longer identified. He's no longer labeled a Christian, but we have secular Jews. So I don't, I'm just trying to be fair here.
Well, I mean, if you're a rabbi, you probably speak to more Jewish people in your part of the world than I do. But the Jewish people that I know, and I mean, there's a very heavy Jewish community in Chicago. they're exceptionally knowledgeable about the Torah. I mean, it's, we, as I stated, in every Sabbath, we're there no less than 10 hours, and it's education,
Let me ask
and
you,
it's education about the Torah.
do you know Capers Funny?
Who?
Capers Funny.
No.
Like he's the rabbi of the was it First Ethiopian Church? Not church. I mean synagogue. What's the name of it? Hold on. No, he's in Chicago. I mean, he's a conservative rabbi, but anyways, fine. Never mind.
And, but I mean, it there two. I mean, there are several denominations of Jewish, right? There's several denominations of being a Christian. But in my lifetime, I have experienced mostly Baptist, Methodist, and Catholics, and Jehovah's Witnesses. And upon speaking to these people, the knowledge that they have about the New Testament is vastly greater than the knowledge that they have about the Old Testament. And again,
got it.
that you said what?
I said I kind of agree there. I mean, I grew up in a majority Catholic neighborhood, and 99% of the people around me don't know diddly squat. Maybe 1% of the Catholics who actually take their faith serious knows the Ten Commandments and stuff like that. But most of them, I mean, most of my classmates were Catholic, and I knew their own stuff better than they did.
Right. Right. And it's the thing is that like I went out searching. For a time I was like, I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to be. This is how I was raised. So for me, it was just like, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to believe in. There was no straying. And then, I like a thought came across me, like, you shouldn't just go the rest of your life just believing because it was how you were raised. Mainly because my parents, they weren't perfect people, and sometimes they made me question a lot of things about my upbringing and about who they are as people. So I found myself, kind of doing religious touring and going to different churches from many different denominations, trying to see what felt right. And it's not just the Catholic Church itself, but I even sent my kids to Catholic private school for a year, and which wasn't horrible. But there was a lot of judgment. There was a lot of just things that made me uncomfortable, and there were things that made me uncomfortable when I went to their church, and then just meeting the people in general. Not necessarily the people themselves make me uncomfortable, but it's their lack of knowledge about the things that they claim to make them who they are that make me uncomfortable.
All right. Let's start a new topic. It sounds like we're just bashing people for the sake of bashing.
I don't feel like it's bashing. I feel like it's having an open dialogue, as you stated, about the truth of your specific reality. I'm not bashing them.
Yeah, but
And people are entitled to believe what they believe. However, in my experience, this is what I have personally gone through. And for all Christians everywhere, that one question remains the same for me. How is it that you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, as your Messiah? You understand that Jesus was Jewish, but you are not yourself Jewish. And I have not been able to get a logical explanation from anybody Christian, no matter what denomination they are.
I mean,
The problem is you don't want the answer. The answer is it's not the Christians. It's not their fault. It's the fault of the Jewish authorities themselves way back then. So if you want to blame somebody, go and blame the rabbis. Start with them.
all right. Here, look. It's easy for a Catholic to not want to become Jewish, is because they kind of believe they already are Jewish. I mean, they believe they replaced Israel. That's traditional Catholic doctrine, that they superseded the Jewish people. I mean, that's a teaching in the New Testament that they have been grafted in. So why would they have to submit themselves through a conversion process, which is essentially rabbinic, and they don't believe in the rabbinic? I mean, this is what I think a knowledgeable Christian would say. So
Exactly. And that's the answer that I'm looking for that I never get.
okay, all right. However, Protestants believe differently. I mean, Protestants, at least some of them do. I mean, believe that Jews still have redeemable qualities, that they don't have to essentially convert right now because they'll convert later. And some believe that they are the synagogue of Satan. And
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's what are you gonna do? Okay, fine. I'm promoting Judaism like from a reasonable, rational perspective. We're here to talk about why it's better to be Jewish. But in terms of like like my place of worship is cooler than your place of worship, or like my people as a whole are more knowledgeable than your people. That's not the argument I'm making. I think the average Jew.
Well, then explain what you mean when you say better.
So, if someone's choosing an ethical a an ethical path for themselves and their family, and they have three religions in front of them, but two of those religions come from the first, I think it behooves them. I mean, assuming that the three are ethically on the same level, let's say, it behooves them to start chronologically with the oldest one and then work from there instead of starting straight from the newest one or from Christianity. So I think that everything that I mean, ethical and like meaningful and purposeful that Christianity claims to bring into the mix, or Islam claims to have brought into the to the table, already existed in Judaism. Judaism was universal at its inception. I mean, Abraham wasn't Jewish, and he essentially converted to Judaism. I mean, he didn't come from a royal pedigree. Um, in terms of grace, right? God so loved the world that he gave us a higher standard to aspire to. This notion that only grace and kindness came through Jesus, but a cold, bitter God is what we see in the Old Testament. All these things, uh, that the whole monotheistic ideal. I mean, Onkelos was arguing almost from the same level of the unity of God and not him being limited or him being represented from any anthropomorphic notion, even before Muhammad and his scholars began to argue. Right? It's just most people don't know much about Judaism and the Jewish people, or even the Torah itself. So they start off in the New Testament. They start off in the Quran instead of going back to the source. And
That's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying.
so this is why Judaism is better, right? Because it's essentially not the offshoot, but not just because it's older. Because if for some reason Christianity um, made things better than Judaism, then I would encourage people to become Muslim or Christian if that made you a better person. But everything that's ethical in both of their belief systems were recycled from Judaism. The only thing Christianity
Agreed.
brought to the mix was metaphysics and narrative. That's it. They couldn't improve on the ethics, but the ethics is what counts. The ethics is what improved this planet, not the narrative. I could hire George Lucas to write a bigger rendition, a greater rendition of a resurrection from the dead, and an angel appearing to someone in a cave, right?
That's true, rough.
Yeah, but you can improve on the
Okay,
ethics.
now that all of that sounds very jealous.
Jealous.
Uh,
Yes, it sounds very jealous.
Ah,
And
Do
in what
not
way does it
hate
sound
because you
jealous?
do not hate because you were not there. Do not hate because it did not happen to you. I mean, I
who was not there and what didn't happen to who? What are you talking
it's it's just jealousy at this point.
that's true. I'm jealous of Christians.
about?
You know who I'm jealous of? I'm jealous of Muslims. Because I kind of like Islam and I like Muslims, but it's just like I'm just not convinced of the belief system. But it's just like feel like assuming they could drink beers. I'd want to drink beer with like a bunch of masculine Muslim guys with like Top G, Andrew Tate, and kind of like hang out with. I don't know, like what color's your Bugatti, Baba G? Like Alibaba. You know,
My Bugatti is green.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, whatever. That one of my goals, apart from encouraging people to become Jewish, is to make Judaism more masculine. Make Judaism masculine again. You know, bring
Oh, I agree.
and
Well, that
yeah,
definitely follows Torah law.
yeah, no,
Agreed.
but and this that brings another point that I have an issue that I have with Christianity having a holy trinity that excludes Mary. Like, was she was just a vessel to y'all? Like, she don't mean anything. Like, she was there his entire life. She don't deserve to write a chapter in the Bible. She was
yeah,
there his entire life. She gave birth to him. She don't deserve to have her story heard.
yeah. Well, they have
But
it. It's called,
nobody knows anything about her.
no, it's called the. Well, there's an apocryphal book called the Gospel of Mary, and also Catholics believe in the like the purity of Mary. It's called something else because they believe that she never sinned. Also, like the incarnate. What's it called? Whatever. In Spanish, I think they call it La Purísima or something. Yeah, no, Catholics embellish the notion of Mary. I mean, they even call her the Mother of God. I mean, if that's not an embellishment, I don't know what is. But
I mean, I agree that's what they call her, but what is her importance? There's very little about her in their book. Very
No, in
little.
yes, in the book, yes. In Christianity, they largely don't acknowledge her, but specifically in Catholicism, they do. They give her almost a pretty much almost celestial head role. That's what the Rav was saying. It's like they say prayers like Holy Mary, Mother of God, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
I mean, Tupac wrote a song. Hell,
Ah,
first off, fuck. No, let me stop. I'm just.
na, 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 na.
well, I will say this, and then I'm probably going to have to go, so my phone is dying. Um, I I I I to say Judaism is better. It, it sits just a little funky just because it feels just a little bit offensive, even though I'm Jewish. It just
No, you know what it is.
feels.
You know
What?
what it is, hon, is that you gotta acknowledge something. If you are a part of something, you're there because you think that it's better than what else is out there. So that's just
N-
all it is.
Not necessarily. Let me give you an example. My particular bank. I love my bank. But am I aware of other banks that have policies that I like a little bit better than my bank? Sure.
No, and that's the point. Until you become aware of it, you're thinking that the bank that you are currently in is better than the other banks, or else you
But
wouldn't
I
bank
am
there.
but I am aware of banks that have other policies where I'm like, dang, they have a policy that's a little bit better than my bank. But I'm not going to switch.
Not,
If you
Uh,
if they have a bank that has a better policy than your bank, right, and everything else is the same except the better policy, and you don't go there, you're crazy.
not necessarily. This is, for instance, this is kind of how people work in relationships. Sometimes you find yourself in a relationship that where things aren't the greatest, but it is your loyalty to that person and to that relationship, and because of your spiritual beliefs, that you stay in that relationship.
mm,
You don't go looking for better elsewhere.
See, for me, it's a little bit different, right? So I'm speaking on myself. I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, I'm in Judaism. I besides the fact that I'm ethnically Jewish, et cetera, that push that thing to the side. I'm in Judaism because I think that it is the truth, because I think it is correct, because I think it
And that to me is probably a better title. Judaism is the truth.
huh?
if I mean, but if it's the truth, by default, that would mean everything else is false. It's a mathematical equation. One plus one can only equal two.
Well,
Everything else is just.
I believe it's the truth. I don't believe anything else is the truth. However, saying that it's better, just appealing to people in general, people will take it offensively.
No, it's the
When
opposite. I mean, telling someone that what they're believing is false, okay, is more offensive than saying no. What you believe is good. Just what I believe is better. You know?
Correct.
Well, no, because there's a difference between fact and fiction. There's a difference between things that you can actually prove and things that you cannot.
I understand that, but why wouldn't that be more offensive? Right? I'm saying that, there's truth in your belief system. There's just more truth in mine. What you're saying is that no, this is true and that is false. So
Well, just like you said, right? Christianity is built on the back of Judaism.
no,
That is a truth.
perspective. We're talking about the title of the room. Okay? You're right on in terms of ideology. The title of the room, what's more offensive to people? Saying that I have the truth or I have the best religion, or your religion's good, just my religion I feel is better. I mean, if you're dating a guy, right, and your friend's dating a guy, right, if your guy is nicer to you, makes more money, is better looking, drives a nicer Bugatti, you're going to say you're better, right? I mean, you're not going to say, well, they're all the same. No, it's not true. Right? I mean, everything in life is,
I wouldn't use the term better. I would say that he's more successful.
Oh, I would. If first of all, look. If my girl, I would say is the best. Forget better. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, see, the thing
Plus, she
is
hopped
that
in
when
my
you use
Bugatti.
when when if especially amongst women, I don't know how it is amongst guys because I'm not a guy, but I know that if I'm in a room full of girls and we all feel like we're in decent relationships, and I use the term like my man is better than yours, every girl in there is going to find that offensive.
Well, I mean, I would think they would respect that you respect your man to that degree. I mean, I feel like it would be something like, "Hey, I think my man is better," and then she's like, "Yeah, and I think mine is better as well."
no,
I mean, that's
no, hold on.
Right.
Hey,
However,
guys,
but
guys,
if
I
he
have a
has
question. Do you remember the thing called freedom of speech? I mean,
No,
I don't care. I
okay.
don't care that Rabbi Asher puts
Obviously,
Judaism is better. I really do not care, but I do find
he does,
offensive
trust
if
me.
people laugh at
No, we're talking
another person when explaining religion.
Bella. We're talking about marketing. We're not talking about freedom of speech. She acknowledges I have the freedom to say that. All right. I mean, she's saying, is it a good idea, or am I pushing more people away that I'm bringing close? That's what she's saying. All right.
yes.
The difference with that argument of that you're dating a girl or a guy is that in this case you're trying to share your girl, you're trying to share your guy. I'm trying to share my religion here. This is why, by me saying it's better and I'm welcoming you to become a part of it. That's why it's not offensive. If someone says that being white is better than being Hispanic, then that's problematic because a darker person can't automatically turn whiter. Okay, but you can become Jewish. If
That
Well,
that is true.
the thing is, you get what you ask for. If you put it like that, personally, I don't care. But if you put it like that, Judaism is better. You're asking for people to debate you.
I know that's what
That,
I
that's
which
the
is fine.
Yeah,
type of
that's what
people
he
you will
wants.
be. That is the type of people you will be attracting to.
yeah,
That's good.
good for them by the way. I mean, I do it for everyone listening because everyone typically has never heard a Christian person talk to a Jewish person about religion. There's enough people talking about Palestine here that whatever they don't even okay.
Yeah, I find that people don't talk to Jewish people altogether. Like they are afraid in various ways, especially to even get into religious topics.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So this is the only show that I know of on
Maybe where you come from, where I come from, people talk normally to each other.
Orthodox Jews, even in Holland or in Colombia, do not typically dialogue with religious Christians or religious Muslims about religion, no matter where you go, uh, because they'll call that proselytizing. I'm telling you, people hate me for this, because it's like Bruce Lee teaching kung fu to the Guaylos, right? It's not done nowadays.
Not
Right?
the white low.
Bruce Leroy, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, and my rabbi, like I don't think in the history of my entire life I've ever seen him discuss anything religious outside of the people in our temple. Like no Christians, and our temple is literally next door to one of the biggest churches in Chicago.
All right. Welcome, Unknown Error 79. Like this, a troll. I don't know. The stage is yours. Run with it.
Oh, technical issues.
Shoulders back. The Greeters Guild. All right. Hold on. All right, Simcha, you're on. I think she's in Chicago too, right? Aren't you in Chicago, Simcha?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Listening to the interchange. So, is 25 Diamond? Are you messianic?
Don't do this. Come on.
I didn't know. I didn't know what she was. I'm sorry. I won't. I won't do that if that's
She's
offensive.
cracking her finger. Gonna take you to school now.
Okay,
Alright.
people, I'm leaving. My battery is dying. Bye.
Okay,
Bye, Bella.
Goodbye.
Nice talking to you.
All right, 25K, but let her have it.
Yeah, so I'm Jewish.
Okay. What, like Reform, Conservative, Orthodox?
No, I'm Hebrew Jewish.
Okay, so I'm Reform Jewish.
Okay.
Oh, what state do you reside in, Simcha?
Indiana, formerly of Miami Beach, like you.
Oh, are you southern or northern Louisiana? Indiana, sorry.
Northwest Indiana.
Oh, okay. I used to live in Hammond.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not too far. I'm in Cherville.
Oh, I know. It's my one of my best friends lives in Maryville.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right next door.
Yes. That's cool. All right. How do you like, where are you now?
Arizona, actually.
Oh, nice.
At the
It's
moment, yeah.
beautiful there. Love it.
All right.
Yeah, love all that warm weather. So,
666.
so I love that all these people are like these little bridges towards Judaism is amazing.
We're doing something here. We're planting a bunch of seeds.
Yes.
Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, this is the conversation I've been looking for on TikTok for the longest. So, Rabbi Escher, I really appreciate it. Like, I'm so sick of seeing all the other stuff that's like.
No more Israel-Palestine stuff. That's so yes.
Right.
You know, now let's discuss Judaism. I mean, it's Judaism's turn to take over.
Yeah.
But Andrew Tate became Muslim. I made a whole video against it. Yeah, I'm like, you know what? He would have become Jewish, like if he would have. It's not true. I mean, it's just because Jews.
It's wishful thinking, Rob. It's wishful thinking. I know.
No, there was this like Black Hebrew Israelite group called Man Up Israel. You know, I mean, I thought the group was done, but the name was awesome. You know, it's time for Jews to man up. You know, this is like
absolutely.
You guys crack me up.
I couldn't agree more, Rob.
But Hebrew Israel has. Do you believe it, Paul? I mean, do you ascribe to the whole New Testament?
Who?
The Hebrew Israel, is that with Paul as well? You accept Paul?
Who?
No.
Me?
Oh,
Me?
you don't accept Paul? That's awesome.
No.
Who?
No, I don't think either of us except Paul. You guys?
Well, none of us. Definitely not me.
We're not,
definitely not me.
We're not Christian.
Nice. Okay.
Wait, let's hear from our new guest.
Yeah, Ramses the Great 666. Not a troll.
So how you doing?
All right,
I was just trying to chime in and see so the difference between Judaism and Christianity, that you guys don't believe in Yeshua, y'all waiting for David to come back on the throne. Am I correct?
So Jews are waiting for a king like David to appear, a righteous poet, like someone, a warrior scholar.
Okay.
The archetypical great leader. I mean, from God's perspective.
So y'all don't believe in the New Testament at all?
Correct. Now there's some who believe in it. I mean, their Jews are called Messianic Jews, but we're not that.
Y'all non-Messianic, right?
No, sir.
So my next question, that I forget. Okay, my next question is, according to the Torah, because y'all don't read the Bible, what did Moses? Right? Correct.
Well, the Torah is in the Bible, but
yeah, that's the first 5 books, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So according to the Bible, according to the Torah, what did Moses' mother name him before she put him in the water?
It doesn't say.
It doesn't say according to the text. According to extracurricular text, it says I think it was Yakutiel, but that's opinion. Text wise, it's not no, it's not written.
So Moses is it Hebrew or is it a Kemetic or Egyptian name?
That we don't know exactly.
Moses is a how you call it, Kamut or Kemetic name
So it's a Kemetic name, right?
in origin. Yep.
Okay, so my thing is, if Moses, who wrote the, according to you guys, who wrote the first 5 books? Was it Moses?
Yes.
Hold on.
So I'm
Hold on.
trying
No,
to get, I'm going somewhere with
no,
this.
no.
Wait, hold on.
So it went Moses, so he just wrote Deuteronomy, right?
Hold on.
The
Hold
law
on.
book.
No.
Guys, hold on. All right. So nowhere in the Torah does it say that we were given 5 books. Okay. And nowhere in the Torah does it say that Moses wrote the Torah. Torah
Okay.
instructions is what we received on Mount Sinai. They were given to us through Moses. Not only on Mount Sinai, it began at Mount Sinai, and that transmission continued to the end of the book of Deuteronomy. Jewish tradition wants to believe that Moses authored every word in those 5 books, but then the debate arises. He dies before the books are finished, so who wrote the last few chapters? Okay, I get it. From a Torah perspective, Moses just the commandments were revealed through him, and he chiseled the 10 statements on the stone. Okay, according to the text.
Okay. Okay, because I was confused because since y'all ain't Christians, y'all don't think Moses actually had anything with the writings of the book at all. Period. So,
No,
as
what?
huh?
What?
Just
No,
believe that Moses authored.
no,
I mean, that the Torah was revealed through him, but
yeah,
he ultimately wrote down those commandments. Torah means commandments, instructions, essentially.
Right.
The Torah colloquially today means 5 books of Moses, but
yeah.
we don't believe that the book of Genesis was given to us on Mount Sinai. There are no commandments in the book of Genesis apart from be fruitful, multiply, and circumcision. Right? It's part of the narrative. The narrative is called Torah nowadays. People think that we believe in the narrative.
Guys, one of y'all background noise is real loud.
Really, really loud, and it's cutting off. Asher, I can't. I can't. He's breaking up.
Guys, just
Yeah, he was
just mute
breaking
your
up
mics
real.
when you're not talking.
All right, okay, I muted him. But you can unmute yourself when you're ready.
Ali, did you agree with Rabbi Asher?
What with Rabbi Asher's statement? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The only thing that we believe that Moses chiseled down was the instructions. It's not the narrative.
Well, the 10 Commandments, essentially, or the 10 statements.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, but there's more than 10 instructional points. There's
Yeah.
over
This.
13.
Yeah.
However, it says that even in Moses' time, there was a commandment to read the book of the law. So that book for sure didn't include what we call the 5 books of Moses nowadays because it wasn't finished yet. So this holiday was called Hakel. Every 7 years, they read the book of the law. Every Israelite had to write one Torah for themselves. Every king had to write 2.
King 2. Yeah.
So before the Torah was finished, that we call the Torah today. So then it couldn't have been the 5 books of Moses. So it's
Absolutely.
what we call Sefer HaMitzvot, the book of commandments. So it was just one book that had commandments in it. Only because they appear in 5 books nowadays, we shouldn't assume that 5 books were given to Moses on Mount Sinai. It just, now, people believe this. Jews believe this too. It's just kind of, Jews believe this because they typically never have to defend their beliefs with other people because they're not proselytizing. That's what proselytizing does to you. It helps you sharpen up your theology because you have to, in some way, package up your belief and hand it over to someone else. But if you're not, if you don't care how you look to other people, then the silliness grows in your belief system and you go unchecked. So
Absolutely agree.
all right, it's too quiet in here.
Ramses.
Rebsies, are you finished with your questions?
Ramses, you can unmute yourself.
He's probably giving a great speech now, but he's muted. It's like Forrest Gump when he's on the podium and he's like, everyone's crying, but they mute Mike.
Ralph, you silly.
That's it.
Forrest Gump was a tragedy, by the way. I don't care what anyone says.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
We can
sorry
hear you.
about that. So all you guys follow the same thing, right? That's what
Not
I'm trying to
necessarily,
figure.
but kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 96%.
Oh, 90. Oh, 90. What's this other? That's the other 4%.
Well, because we are all different
differ in, like,
Jews.
opinions. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
we're all different Jews, but we're all Jews.
So, okay. So it's y'all. It's just 4%. Y'all don't. What's that 4%?
No.
I was just giving just throwing a number out there. We're all Jews, but we all go to different synagogues and different temples. So, like, it's just like with Christianity, there's different denominations, and for us, sometimes there's different things taught within our synagogues.
So do y'all think would y'all say that it's okay for people to practice what they want to practice and they'll still get judged based on how their heart is, or do they have to, like Christians say, you have to get baptized?
No, see, in Judaism, the way that Judaism functions is that we all have to keep the same laws, but any opinion that does not conflict with the law itself is permissible. Anybody can formulate their own opinions.
Right.
Not Jewish.
And
Okay,
which is
that's
part
cool.
which is part of the reason why Rabbi Asher is having this discussion, basically saying that anybody can be Jewish.
Oh, anybody can follow the culture, even though the Jewish people formulate that they own culture, so anybody can join that culture.
Yeah, Judaism. The way that Judaism actually functions is more like a tribe. If I could put
like
it
an
in that thing.
ethnicity.
You can become a part of a tribe. It's almost like normalization. You can become part of something. That's just what it is.
Wow, this is my first time hearing this. That's interesting. Because usually when you talk to people, you either got to follow some they way or it's not. But
Hold on a second. All right, so I think your question was: does someone have to keep the laws of Judaism or become Jewish in order to be, found acceptable by God? So Judaism teaches no, that you don't have to become Jewish. That as long as you live by a basic bare minimum of morality,
and follow the 10 Commandments.
Like Orthodox Judaism teaches the 7 laws of Noah, typically. So Gentiles aren't commanded to keep the Sabbath, right? So I think it's more than that. I'm just telling you what Orthodox Judaism teaches. But this is what most Orthodox Jews believe, that if a Gentile keeps the 7 laws of Noah, he or she has a share in the world to come. All right. That's it. That's what most Jews believe. I'm not saying I'm fully convinced with that idea. I think that the 7 laws is kind of very little. And anyone who would classify anyone righteous just by keeping 7 laws, has a broken moral compass, in my opinion. But I'm telling you, this is what Judaism.
Okay. What about the laws about wearing fringes? Do you guys wear fringes, or you can't shave your hair, your beard? Is that part of you guys' laws also?
Right. So according to our oral tradition, it teaches that in order for a garment to be liable for fringes, to require fringes, they need to have 4 corners. Being that our garments don't have 4 corners nowadays, someone invented a traditional garment called the talit katan that does have 4 corners. It looks like a poncho, and people typically, it's not a requirement, they'll wear it under their shirts, and that's how they fulfill the requirements. Or when we pray in the synagogues in the morning, the truth is, Jews used to wear it at nighttime also, but not anymore. We wear a prayer shawl that also has 4 corners, and then we put these fringes on that. In terms of destroying or not destroying your beard, the commandment is actually do not destroy your beard or the corners of your beard. Jewish law interpret that to mean shaving with a razor or plucking out. That means an electric razor has shaving but clipping, because you're allowed to clip. You're just not allowed to shave with the razor. So Orthodox Jews, even before electric razors, many Orthodox Jews used hair remover because according to Jewish law, it didn't constitute destroying the beard. So this is why there's many Orthodox Jews who look clean shaven, although there's like stubble. Um, they're not shaving with an actual razor, like knife scraping the face. So that's how.
Okay, this is my last question. Then I'm gonna go after this. Would you guys say that religion is subjective or objective? And I'm gonna give you a little statement right here. Objective is like math, right? No matter what culture you go to, math gonna always equal out the same. If you teach or you taught somebody the fundamentals of math. So if I have a structure, a building, no matter what religion you have, if I tell you guys to build that structure, if one of you guys coming in short, we can observe that you wrong. But when you come to religion, it's all the same pages, but it's mostly subjective. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, we don't believe, like most Orthodox Jews don't believe in an ecumenical type religion that all roads lead to Jerusalem. We believe that to be a Jew, you have to keep certain laws, and to a certain perspective, you have to believe in certain things, like believe.
Would that be subjective though, or is that objective?
No, that's objective in terms of belief. You see, because it's part of a religion. In order to you and for you to be part of the Jewish religion, you have to at least believe in Torah and a God who authored Torah. That, from a religious perspective, is not up for debate. But from an outsider's perspective, then it's all subjective. And this is why we're here. We're trying to change the mind of people from the outside looking in, right? Because they're the ones. This is why it's not good to say that Judaism is true, or that God is the true God, because the word "true" to an outsider sounds subjective because they're not convinced of it. To an insider, it sounds objective because they've already bought into the system. So it depends if you're an irreligious person or a person in the religion.
So if you in the religion, you say it's objective.
Yeah.
But if I'm building a building, you see the objective. Like if you was a teacher right now teaching 2 + 2 is 4, all of us would agree with that. You can't say that's subjective because the mathematic equation going to equate to 4. But when you in a religion and you got this book, you can put your own subjective thoughts on it and control the people. With math, you can't do that because you can observe and say, hey, that's wrong. And when you do the measurements and stuff, it's going to come out to show you that's wrong. That's objective. Subjective, if you had different denominations in you guys' books pulling people a certain way, they can bring their subjective thoughts in that, and without no math equations, they can get away with it. With math, your structure gonna fall down. If I give you these instructions or a blueprint to say, here, you got this 3 by 4 or whatever is objective. So if you build the wrong structure, we can all objectively see that it's wrong, and because the math gonna show us wrong.
No, I got it. Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like subjectively, you guys saying
I said
it's different.
that from an outsider's perspective, it's subjective then because we can't prove that God exists. I have evidence.
Oh no, I ain't talking about God. I'm talking about like the laws and stuff.
Right. I mean, I can't prove that they're true, right? Or they're divine. So.
No, I'm saying when people like you got Orthodox Jews and what's the other Jews called?
Reformed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The same book, but they subjectively put their own thoughts on there. With math, you can't do that. You can't do that. Once you teach math, that's knowledge. You go from you go from multiplication, divisions, trigonometry. You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
That's not entirely true, because if there are people out there who believe that mathematical formulas, the way that we have been taught them, don't actually line up. Like Terrence Howard. Take some time to Google Terrence Howard and what his thoughts are on math, It's very interesting what he has to say. And there are other people out there who believe similar to him. There's lots of things that can be taken literally. There's lots of things that can be taken objectively. There's lots of things that can be taken subjectively. But what the rabbi is saying, that for a person that is within the particular group, their opinion is always going to be objective because it's their experience, it's their daily life. But for someone from the outside, it can be very much subjective because it's not their experience.
Judaism.
Oh, okay, okay, I get what you're saying now.
I mean, I think the question is, I mean, should be, is Judaism monolithic? Every group understands, at least in terms of belief, believes differently. In terms of practice, well, the Torah, what makes us Jewish is that we value the words in that Torah, and those words haven't really changed, right? I mean, in terms of their meaning, I'm sure. I mean, there may be
Absolutely.
here or like one,
Correct.
or there in different Torah scrolls, but
Okay,
Judaism isn't monolithic.
And
okay,
even though there's different movements in Judaism, it's all Judaism, and it's beliefs based on reality, and
yeah.
science trumps beliefs, and it's ethics, ethical behavior and thought, and so all Jewish movements ascribe to those same basic things.
Repeat that over again, because you
So
saying science trump belief. Did you just say that?
yes, as the more we learn about God's kingdom that is reality, the more that we have to humble ourselves and accept the way things really are. And so all of Judaism, whether they're Reform or Orthodox or Hasidic or whatever, all ascribe to reality, and that is objective. And
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
ethics. So then Judaism also has ethics about behavior and how we treat others, and that we treat strangers well because in Judaism that Jewish people were at once strangers and in slavery, and so that because of that experience, to remember to treat strangers kindly.
Would you
So
say people have their own worldview? Like if I go, like say if Mars is a planet, right? Inside
yeah,
that planet, they have different worldviews. So we can't come to that planet and try to push our worldview on them because it's a planet. So in this planet, you're gonna have different people with different worldviews on how they see their God. It might be the one God, but they got different names. For,
yeah,
for
and
it,
on Mars, they have reality.
huh?
And Mars also shares in reality and science. The entire universe shares reality and science.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Truth.
saying. But they got different worldviews. So if I come to Earth, you have people with different worldviews. I'm not saying that. I'm saying God is one, but you got different names attached to this God. So what I like about you guys, you don't try to force your worldview on anyone else because somebody else can say his or its name different, and you guys won't try to force to say no, you got to
Yeah.
do it this way because Judaism was just in Judah, right? It went worldwide, so you had people at the same time living their life and their worldviews on how they see their perspective on God. You understand what I'm saying?
As long
Yeah,
as
except I don't know, maybe Buddhism accepts reality. I don't know of really too many other religions that are grappling with the meaning of reality and how that reflects God. I don't really.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about how they see it in like Buddhism, how they see it in their worldview. It's a different lens that you guys see it because you have a personal relationship with Yah or
no,
with
no.
other people.
All right, so
No,
we do force it on people who.
you force it on people.
Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. We have,
I would like to force it on Christians.
hold on,
Mhm.
Israel, because there's a certain standard that has to be kept in the land of Israel. In when Israel's living there in a redeemed state. That right now Israel is a secular country, but imagine that you lived in Israel in the time of, I don't know, of King Solomon, uh, and you didn't want to keep the Sabbath, and that you happen to be born of a Jewish mother, or you didn't want to keep the 7 laws of Noah and you were a Gentile, you'd essentially be put to death. Why? Because it would behoove you to leave that country, because our only jurisdiction to enforce Torah laws or even rabbinic laws is the land of Israel. We don't have this vision of a global caliphate like Muslims do. Which is why I think throughout Jewish history, the vast majority of Jews lived outside of the land of Israel, because they felt they wanted to live like Judaism liked. But the idea that we believe in ethical relativism, that everyone is right in their own way, it's not true. It's not true. I mean, that we believe that the God of Israel has certain standards, and although he's compassionate and love can't exist without standards. So this idea that everyone could do what they want and God's going to accept them the way, or like we should accept them, it's nonsense. I mean, God rewards the good and punishes the evil. That means he has to make a distinction between good and evil. And the only way you're going to do that is by hurting people's feelings. So, yeah, I mean, we do that.
So if you encounter someone and would you try to convert them over to your lens of thinking, or your way of, you'll try to convert them?
For sure, I'm trying to convert you.
You can't convert me. Because I see it as a different lens. I see all three religions following Abraham or Abraham. So I see it coming out of that realm right there. I see more the creator as more than just a small book. I see it as the universe, everything. So with
like
because I can't think the way the y'all think. So I wouldn't say he would just pick one people to spread his word around the whole planet. That would be.
Ramses, you could think like we think. You could, but you have to put all of your effort into understanding Judaism, and for me it was a really difficult thing to do. It took me years to grasp it. And then once you grasp it, you're like, oh my God, how could I not see this? It's so simple, but to really get here is so hard, or it can be hard. Some people have an easier time. But the big thing I think between like Islam and Christianity, and you say they all have, it's an all Abrahamic religion, but in Christianity, I mean, in Islam, they see reality as a trick of the devil, and that God is like part of this supernatural world that does not exist here, and that there's belief that you have to believe in this supernatural kingdom that we don't experience here, and that reality is a trick, whereas in Judaism, reality is God's kingdom.
Ramses, what is it that you currently following?
Well, I grew up as a Christian Baptist. That's what I grew up as, and my father, he practiced Islam. So as I was growing up, I had trouble figuring out the book because it actually didn't make no sense. Because when I was growing up, I used to watch nature, and it used to, you know, they used to go back and forth. So I go to my mom and say, Adam Eve's the first people. She said yes. I said that can't be true because Neanderthal was here before us. They're different hominids. See, I go into the science. So if Adam Eve was the first people, they had to be Neanderthal. They can't be us. We Homo sapiens sapiens. We're a different hominid. So that's how I would go back and forth. Then I went to church and I started studying. Then I came across a dude that I'm from West Africa, so he told me a West African God called Amen. Or in West Africa, we say Amma. That's how I pray. So when I pray through the sun up in the sky. And after I pray, I say Amen, because that's the God I'm praying to. That's why I'm saying Amen. So that's what continued my journey. That's why I said knowing and believing, it go hand in hand. You got to know what you believe and believe what you know. Because when you know something, it's just a belief. Like if I want to come up with an idea, I already know what it is, but it's a belief to you and I. Once I build it, it's no longer a belief. It becomes knowledge, because know is short for knowledge. You guys all, when you came out, you didn't know nothing. You didn't know nothing. Somebody had to teach you that, to teach you your belief. Knowing belief go hand in hand. It's the spiritual world with the science world. They can't exist without each other. So when you say belief, you already know what you believe because you're telling me the definition of what belief is. Knowing and believing go hand in hand. So I'm more spiritual and I'm still going on my journey, and I look at life different. I look at it from a scientist and spirit, because spirit just short for breath. So I do a lot of like a little study and like Holy Bible. I know holy is a Greek word for Helios. Helios means sun. I know Bible is from Biblos, the Phoenician people, because they did trade. So that's where they got the papyrus from. So that's why you say sun book. The actual Bible means sun book. So once you break it down and go through history, you understand how humans start looking up towards the heaven and start believing in God. Because Adam and Eve was the first people; they had to be Neanderthal.
I think around. I agree with like 75% of what you said in terms of.
Is Neanderthal older than us? I'm going. I don't know. I'm going with the scientists. They're extinct. So if Adam and Eve was the first people on the earth, as the Bible says, they have to be them. They can't be us. We Homo sapiens sapiens.
Okay, so I mean, you're quoting Greek
So,
or like this some way, and
so everybody alive right now is the same human race,
Yeah.
and Neanderthals was a branch of human race,
Yes.
and they died out. We probably killed them off, but
They exist in our genes. Like I think
Yeah.
like 2% or 3% because
yeah,
they mixed with the
yeah,
Homo sapiens, which made the Homo sapiens sapiens, which is what
yeah,
he's talking about.
yeah. So, but yeah, but the, I don't think the Neanderthal. We don't come from Neanderthals.
No,
Adam and
I'm
Eve.
agreeing with you. I'm just saying they was here on this earth longer than us.
and a man comes from Emet and from truth. I don't know, like where I mean,
No, because he's quoting from like the Egyptian language. That's what it is.
mm,
Yeah, I practice. It's not
It's
totally that
Kemetic.
because I deal with astrology, right? So I'm trying to get back to my West African roots because I say Amma, that's AMMA, and if you look it up, it say Amen. So African people deal with astrology. So when you look at the Rhine's belt, the Dogon will say Sigi Tolo and Put Tolo. So that's how they study the stars of heaven. So when you that's why they say as above, so below, because they trying to figure out who made them, and through their concept, they just bring it all together. It's spirituality and
Wait.
science.
You said you're trying to reconnect to your West African roots, like
Yeah, yeah,
spiritually. So wait,
yeah.
so why are you practicing like an Egyptian-based religion then?
Because it's the same thing. It's astrology. They point for the same stars. Star Sirius is Sirius, right? And Kemetic they say Aset. In West Africa we say Sigi Tolo. It's the same. It's the same. It's the same Orion belt. It's called the dog star. And over down South America they do it too. 'Cause astrology it changed over time, but it never lie. The sun gonna always rise and set. It's gonna continue. The same sun was here when we was here when the biblical people was here. That's one thing is gonna stay true. Nature, when you dealing with nature or nature, it do not lie. Nature don't care who you praying to or how many people you kill. If I place both of you guys' heads underwater, nature is designed to do its job. Nature won't lie. Nature gonna give thirst to somebody that kills somebody, and it's gonna get thirst to somebody who saves somebody. So when you dealing with spirituality, you dealing with the word nature or nature.
all right.
You dealing with the laws
Heck,
of natures.
that we're not dealing with spirituality here. I mean, Judaism. I mentioned yesterday that the word spiritual or spirituality doesn't even appear in the Jewish Bible. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
spirit perhaps, but to be spiritual, i.e., uh, to in some way tap into the divine, it doesn't exist in the Jewish Bible. But fine, okay.
Yeah, in Judaism there is ruach, the breath of God.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
there's
That's why
spirit.
I was trying to
It's
understand
so it's like
y'all,
it's
y'all.
oxygen. It's oxygen
Yeah,
that we breathe. That's what gives us life. The breath of God is
yeah.
oxygen. But spiritual that I did actually have, I don't know if you guys mind hearing a short story, but my rabbi's wife, we worked at the same place, and so we were talking about work, and she said, you know, kids are so spiritual. And I went, wait a minute, what does that mean? And she said, yeah, you know, they notice everything, the rocks, the trees, they're just fascinated by everything on the planet. And I loved that explanation. You know, to be in amazement of nature is to be spiritual. But
Yeah,
otherwise, I
it's
don't think
spirit just mean breath. That's all it means is breath. It just mean breath. It's no going no deep into it. You got some people that go spooky with it, but when you just dealing with nature, it just keep you in line. It don't make you go off track. But I was trying to understand you guys because what I find fascinating about you guys that most people that you see practice Judaism is either their way or the highway. So when I was hearing you guys, it was very calm and y'all was very respectable. That's what I was liking about it. And I was trying to get an understanding on how y'all practice so I can have some instruction. So when I come and talk to someone else, I can say, all people that study Judaism is not like that.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody learns from everybody.
Yeah, so that's my point because I don't say you guys wrong, this guy's wrong, or whatever. I know it's just one divine being, but I was just trying to get y'all point of view on it, on how how y'all see it.
All right.
That's all.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, you guys. See y'all.
appreciate your input, Ramses.
All right.
Take
Nice
care.
talking to you.
See you. Shalom. Do y'all say shalom?
Yeah,
All right.
shalom aleichem.
Yes, shalom.
Shalom. All right.
Alibaba,
Sí, señor.
I met a Dominican today.
Wait, you met a what?
I met a Dominican convert. You know what his name was?
What was his name?
Tigriel. Tigriel.
Oh my
Tigre
God.
de Dios, Madre Santísima.
Oh my God. I'm gonna leave my own house after that one.
People like Dominicans. You know, Dominicans are like Tigre, Diablo, Plátano. You know, so Tigre el. Tigre, like in modern
Que lo
Hebrew.
que es, maní, ya tú sabes.
So Tigre el. It's from God. Yeah, because Dominicans are always like Tigre. Whatever. Okay, fine. Yeah, it's an inside thing.
Ya tú sabes, papi. Mira, métete en el Bugatti.
Huepa. Tú estás loco, muchacho.
Whippa.
Okay, all right, next. Okay, let's bring in some troublemakers in here.
Yeah, let's get this disciple John. He claims to be Jewish from Israel
Where's Disciple John?
and believes in Jesus.
Yeah, but they need over 1,000 subscribers to get on.
The host says
Oh,
rejecting the Old Testament is okay, and that's not okay. Wait, who says that?
No, they're talking about my perspective that I believe that books outside of the Torah are there to bring you back to the Torah. Like they're not.
Yes.
You know, so they call that in some way rejecting the Old Testament, which is kind of a primitive. I mean, they
Yeah,
can't.
yeah.
They believe in the book of Amos as the word of God, right? I mean, it's there. The job of the prophet is to bring you back to the original message. It's not there for you to build a religion off the words of the prophets, which is what Islam and Christianity do. Right? But they just don't. You know, I'm just whatever. It's not even worth responding to. Okay.
Oh, totally true. Yes, I agree.
But haters are gonna hate. All right. Let's see. Everybody gets in. That's it. I threw in 10 invites there. Let's see who hops in. I love the Book of Murray. He said that he is allegory. Okay, hold on. Let me answer some of these questions. Only Judaism is a real religion. Okay.
Oh, the Disciple John has 1,000 followers. He should come on.
All right, Disciple John requests because I don't see you in the. I don't see you unless he left already.
No,
Nah,
he
he's
just
still
posted a message right now.
He's still commenting.
I don't know. I mean, he has to request it because I don't see him on the back end. Okay, what about Rodney Dangerfield? Yes, he was Jewish. And Henny Youngman. Would you?
Right above that comment is from the disciple John.
Yeah. No, but if I click on it, there's no way to. I mean, for me to. I'm just
Oh, I see what
No,
you mean.
yeah.
I can make him a moderator. Yeah, but there's no way I could get him.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, he's clearly coming from some kind of Christian background, saying the Holy Scriptures for tradition.
Really, I mean, I disagree as much with the average Israeli than I do with the average Christian. I mean, most Israelis aren't religious to begin with.
No. I think he's like a Christian, to be quite honest.
I mean, Christians are welcome here. I'm very Christian and Jesus friendly. Like I said, Judaism is better. That doesn't mean everything else is bad. It's just it's just not as good.
Yeah.
And we say that about everything in life. I mean, I think I don't know what's a good comparison here. I mean, churrasco is better than ground beef.
I agree.
What else? I don't know.
Arroz con habichuela is life.
Bendito nene. Ajo con andule. Vamos pa aquí, vamos pa allá. I used to be a DJ growing up for Spanish music. Like my dad was in the business. Like my dad's business when I was growing up was like setting up nightclubs. And here in Miami, it's all Spanish and like DJ equipment and concert equipment. So then I'd go. I mean, I grew up in South Beach, so like 2 a.m. they'd call us up because I don't know, like a speaker blew or an amp burned out or something. So I had to go. So I mean, I grew up and I used to back in the day before CDs. We'd have like
turntable.
Like right turntables, but I was saying like the milk crates, full of like albums, but Spanish music. So I know, like Jerry Rivera, Eddie Santiago, I don't know, Willie Rosario.
Hector Lavoe.
Soy la voz. Yeah, I know what's up, man. I know about that.
Yeah.
Where's disciple John? Try him again.
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
he doesn't want.
Yeah, Rob. Me myself, like besides my main kind of my what I do for work, I'm in the music industry. That's my main thing outside of that.
All right. Yeah, no, I saw your channel. Like you, what do? You rap or you?
Yeah, I know how to rap. I sing,
Mumble
all
rap?
kinds of stuff. I'm all of the above, Rob. But how you call it? I got a song that's coming out in a month. I just literally registered it today.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Nice.
Yeah, when you register songs or albums, you always have to plan it at least minimum a month ahead because all of the stores and platforms have to approve it first to be sold on their stores. So.
Interesting. So what do you do? 25K.
I am a peer support coordinator for persons with disabilities.
All right. Simcha, so you're a therapist, right? Like a licensed therapist?
I'm a therapist, mental health counselor, yeah.
Hey, we're in the same line of work.
Yeah, no, I mean we're all in the same line of work. God, because we're all in the medical field.
Well, not me.
Yeah, besides Rob.
You're in the music field. How's that
No. I said that's what I do besides work. What I do for work is I'm a supervisor for an ambulance company.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, nice. See, exactly what the rabbi was saying. We live by a code of ethics to help the world. There you go.
All right. I'm a network admin. I don't know, IT guy. So there's not there, but
I kind of help.
Hey, IT is the largest growing industry in the world. Like I don't know anything that's growing larger than that.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I make the money. You know what's up.
Rob, I actually have a question from when I was studying Mishnah Torah, but I mean it's a little bit rated R for TikTok.
Here you go, man.
We're therapists. Go ahead. We've heard it all.
Okay, I'm a doctor.
No. It's not about hearing it. It's literally I don't want the live to get banned, so I gotta kind of like use different words.
Yeah, use the different words. You know how to do it.
Yeah, we speak code.
All right, Rob. Okay, so I was reading. I forget which part of the Mishnah Torah I was reading. Anyways, I was reading how like when it came to the subject of like adultery, and it says like when a woman sleeps with another man besides the husband, is like the opinion of the of Ramam is like when the corona of the man inserts into the woman, from that point on she's no longer permissible to him, etc., right?
Right.
But I was trying to find a source like what about when it comes to grape? If a woman is raped, is she still permissible to her husband after the fact because of, yada yada yada?
Tell people you're
It doesn't say anything about that.
Puerto Rican. So what do you mean grapes? Oh,
You know, oh yes, you know what I mean, graped,
oh,
yes.
what the heck you talking about, man? Uh, uh, um, hmm. Well, okay. So you're saying if like if she's in some way violated, like why is that not grounds for divorce?
No, 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 no. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it like from what I was reading in the Mishnah Torah, it did not say if a woman is married and she ends up being, violated, right?
Mhm.
Is she still, after the fact that she got violated, permissible to her husband, or must the husband leave her because of, the corona of another man got inserted to him, yada yada yada.
It doesn't say anything about that.
No, this is Jewish. I mean, it's not the Torah. I mean, it's not Mishnah Torah.
Yeah,
So
this is Mishnah.
yeah, or Mishnah Torah. It's yeah, it's I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
Mishnah Torah le Rambam. Yeah.
so I mean, I would assume because she didn't do it, it was done to her. So then I mean, she's not liable, right? I mean, if
No,
the
no, yeah, she's not liable for a death penalty, but is the husband still permissible to his wife who got violated?
yeah, of course. I mean, I would say of course, but I'm trying to think of it legally. Because you're saying that
Correct.
I mean, it still happened, but she didn't initiate it, right? I mean, why should he be prohibited to her? I don't.
Yeah, the only reason that I'm saying is because the opinion of Rambam was once the corona of a man is inserted into the woman, from that point on, she is no longer permissible to her husband. So I was saying, what
I
about in the event for yada yada yada?
don't know. I mean, I have to look. I mean, there's a lot of things that Rambam says that I think like, damn, and I disagree with it. I mean, I have a video like about a few things. It's interesting. I mean, the Rambam writes. I think it's in Hilchot Ishut. It says that if or in a Serbia, that if a Jewish man in some way, mistreats, or I don't want to use the word, a Gentile woman or even minor, that minor has to be because uh, he, she caused the Jew to sin. I mean, it's like a twisted halacha, completely twisted.
Yeah.
And
No, absolutely. I mean, it's a world full of opinions. I mean, you know what I mean?
right. But I mean, it appears there like a halacha. So sometimes I would say it's a mitzvah to break a halacha. But it appears. So what I don't like is when rabbis get on here and then they're like make it seem like Judaism is perfect and they could justify every halakha. The truth is they don't know every halakha. Like they don't study,
Right.
and they make it seem like it, like they're keeping Judaism perfectly. Right? I mean, they don't know that the vast majority of people, I mean, according to at least Talmudic sources, is not holding by a kosher eruv, or according to halakhic sources, all women have to cover their hair. They're like, no, we're keeping Judaism like Moses kept it. It's not true. You're
That's
keeping
true.
according to your Gedolim, like your modern day Vestal virgins nowadays, who in some way excuse everything. So you think that you're keeping Judaism like Moses did. So people
That's
who that it's so. I mean, like it makes perfect sense. It's because they don't know Judaism that well. And this is like the Yaron Rubens in the world and stuff like that, or who whitewash it. Which I mean, I don't whitewash anything. I mean, if it says it there, I'll tell you it says it. I mean, I'll show you Judaism warts and all, and just realize that what, with all its problems, it's still more sophisticated than Islam and Christianity. And I think Islam trying to whitewash the religion by making it seem like our prophets made no mistakes, I think that just takes away credibility, right? I mean,
Yeah, a lot of people forget that the sages were just men at the end of the day.
Right, exactly.
yeah, and
I literally had a conversation, Rav, with another Jewish woman, and she was speaking about the sages as if they were like infallible men of God that could never say an opinion that's wrong, and everything is Ruach Hakodesh and yada yada yada. And I was like, oh my God, bro, this is just a human being.
that's part of the dumbification of Judaism, and so that's one reason people dislike what I teach. I mean, other rabbis, one because they're not familiar with these sources, so they'll think I'm making stuff up. So they debate me, and I bring up this. I'll never deny that a source exists. If someone says a source exists, this is where Tovia Singer like messed up with like Michael Brown. Tovia Singer had a debate with Michael Brown 20 years ago, and then Michael Brown said, "Are you saying that there's no text that says that Isaiah 53 is talking about like Mashiach ben David, like no text at all?" And then I mean, Tovia Singer says, "I'll even convert to Christianity if you could find one." Of course, you know how many midrashim there are out there. So I mean, Michael Brown pulls this legend, this midrash, this agadah out of nowhere, and then Tovia Singer is just left like, just listen to the debate. It's online. It's like don't underestimate how much literature there is in the Jewish world. I mean, written by rabbis. That's essentially opinion literature, right? It's not necessarily binding. And when anyone says, "Well, the rabbis teach this," like somebody came here and says, "Well, Rav Sada Gaon says that Islam wasn't a form of idolatry." I'm like, that's just one opinion. The Rambam says it also, but the Ritva, the Ran, the Satmarav, like Bar Chaim, there's many who say it is. So it's when everyone says the rabbis say, Christians do that also. Like when they're debating, they're like, "Oh, well, this rabbi says Isaiah 53 is talking about the Messiah, right?" There's other people who say it's not, but of course, they're not going to tell you the other opinions. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
you know, anyways.
Yeah, and Jewish people have a lot of different opinions on things, and there are some Jewish people who secretly believe in Jesus and all kinds of things, but it's all rooted in reality.
And there's Jewish people who publicly believe in Jesus. That itself is not such a big deal in my opinion. I don't. It doesn't matter who you think the Messiah happens to be.
Well, yeah,
I was
with that
told that
statement, I
they're
agree.
called converted Jews.
Fine, fine. As long as they commit themselves to Torah observance, that's what matters. I mean, who do I think that Jesus the Messiah, in terms of how he lived his life, is more problematic than the Messiah that Jews are waiting for? I think he's less problematic. Because there's many mystical Jews who are waiting for a Messiah who could read your mind, who could fly, who could never die.
Who with a smell can tell you what tribe you are and yada
Yeah,
yada yada.
Yeah.
this is weird. I mean, can you blame Christians for making them God? I mean, this is like it. Now, this is not the Rambam's understanding of the Messiah. The Rambam is is just waiting for a human being, a king from the tribe of David, who will eventually die, just like any other king dies. His son will take over, and on until we screw it up and we lose the kingship, the priesthood, and the judges again, and then we lose the temple again, and we build another temple. This is going to happen over and over again. This seems to be the Rambam's understanding. But yeah, I mean, this is why I view Kabbalah more destructive than Christianity, because there's only so much destruction you can do with 27 books. Can you imagine how much destruction or distortions you can introduce into Judaism with thousands of Kabbalistic books that teach the weirdest things? And there's people living in the middle of the earth who sneak out in the middle of the night, live off of blood and semen. I mean, it's just like the weirdest things. Just people don't know about it.
Listen. I agree with you, Rav. I agree with you, Rav, because I feel like I mean, for a lot of people, I know that maybe the spirituality
Part in
wait,
um,
is Israelite, mute your
with
mic, please.
Israelite. Mute your mic, please.
Yeah, you need it.
All right, yeah, there we go. So I know for a lot of people, the spirituality and Kabbalah, maybe to some people it helps them get closer to God, but my God, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of fellow Jews, and it's like they're so invested into that they don't know basic halachot. I mean, they completely disregard certain things, like they they spiritualize things that aren't spiritual. Like when they say to me stuff like um Shir Hashirim, or which is Songs of Solomon, guys, for those who don't know Hebrew, is is really about the Israel, the nation, and the creator, when it's really, come on, he's talking about his mistress. Come on, let's be real.
Like R. Kelly.
That's the shot.
No, it's not
So
like
it's stuff like that, you know, like it's just like, come on, bro, like, you know, stop checking your brain at the door and stuff like that, you know.
I hear you. I hear you. All right, welcome Israelite 086. Going once, going twice.
Hello.
Twice. Hi.
Hello. There you go.
Hi.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
What do you got?
My question is, the original people of Israel is who? Because the Christopher Columbus is maps. It says on the maps that they were Negroes. So that makes sense.
What you say? What you say?
Yes, the Christopher Columbus and the maps. We go to this whole maps. When it says Israel under the maps, it says is the land of Negroes. So how did they become white now? Like getting in that land.
So I mean, Christopher Columbus himself was an Israelite, brother.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying like in that land, it said that it was the land of Negroes, Israel, like back in Bible times. So
I mean, the burden of proof is
y'all came in that land like in 1948 or what?
Yeah, you have to show me that. I mean, you have to show me where it's the
Moors?
You have to show me where it's the. I mean, the Moors
is in his books and also, sir.
Are you talking about Moors?
Sir.
Are you talking about Moors?
No, I'm talking about like Africans, Africans.
Oh, you mean like
Northern? It was in the no, it says
Israel,
it says the Negroes.
Turn down your audio.
1 second. Is that better?
Test 2, 3. Okay, go.
Hello, is that better?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, is that better?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Christopher Columbus writing that. Okay, I mean there were a time that Moors were dealing with.
Is that better?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Anyways, during the time of Christopher Columbus, we had Jews already living in the land of Israel writing books, right, that still exist today. I mean, Christopher Columbus is 1492, right? I mean, who lived in 1492? The author of Shulchan Aruch. I mean, he lived in Sfat. The Arizal, right? I mean, the Radak, Rabbi Moshe Cordero. You know, these individuals weren't identified as black individuals. I mean, as a matter of fact, they spoke about black individuals. I'm sure Maimonides did, who also lived in the land of Israel for a little while. Well, at least, I mean, he wrote about people from Ethiopia, distinguishing them from Turks. But who cares? I mean, who cares? I mean, if they were blacks in Israel, I mean, I hope so. I mean, I hope there were Asians too and Puerto Ricans. The more, the merrier. I think God cares about individual.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good. But my whole thing is in Israel now. There's a bunch of racist people, and they saying that blacks shouldn't be in that land. They should leave, and all the other nations should leave.
True.
Like,
say that.
Like, where was that coming from? Yeah, I've seen the YouTube videos where they do the protests, and they say, no, we don't want the blacks to send them out. The Ethiopians, Ethiopians, they got to come out, lead them, they make them come out.
There's some who, I mean, I saw the video also. I mean, there's some Israelis that are pro.
Yeah, all the racist people.
That's not the vast majority of Jews, by the way. I mean, just like there's racists in America, and America's not a racist country. But some Israelis are not happy with the Ethiopians being allowed to, live there. There's many Sudanese people who have snuck in, who aren't being kicked out. I'm not saying that there are no racists. To say that all the Jewish people are racist, I think that's kind of a silly statement. I mean, don't forget. I mean, during the civil rights.
No. I wasn't saying all. I said a lot of them on the videos. It showed like hundreds, like protesting.
In the civil rights era, there were many Jews who were targeted alongside blacks because they were so pro I mean, civil rights for the African Americans in this country. Right? I mean, Jews are very involved in that. Right? I mean, they marched along. I mean, many rabbis marched with Martin Luther King. Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
That's true.
Yeah,
And there were Jews that were lynched in the South for supporting, obviously, black equality.
Yeah. So yeah, are there racist
Yeah,
Jews?
yeah, there was, and
Black, whites. All right, guys. On that note, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom, achay.
Look, we kept it over
Shalom.
like over 45 people at a time. I think it was like 110. So it's cool. People are learning. People are going to convert to Judaism. There's going to be more kosher food, a mixture. There's going to be Korean, soul food, kosher.
Arroz con habichuela.
Right. That's it. The mofongo, like kosher.
Kala Sharala Ratata.
That's it. Cheaper tuitions, for school.
Adios.